Welcome, one and all, to the mind of Jake Paul.
Can I go home now? Yeah. I don't want to be here.
I am, of course, talking about Big Damn Cast. My name is Chris Winkles and Cockles Johnson.
My name is Matt Shane Lizard Watson.
Yes, wait a minute. Nice. We're not alone.
Oh, hello, boys and girls.
Oh, no!
It's Father Christmas.
Hello.
Hello.
Is it Christmas yet?
Oh, my goodness me.
Let's get the sherry out, you lazy swines.
You're either very late for the last one, or kind of early for the next one.
Yeah, it's October.
What year do you think it is?
It's 1892.
You're very,
Get up
very
that
late.
chimney.
You're very late for Christmas. But welcome. You're always welcome here, even if you can't fucking keep time to save your life.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. What a treat.
The accent didn't last.
No,
very long.
it never does.
It didn't, but that's fine. We'll tell you what, Father Christmas, as it is our Halloween episode. Ooh.
Don't touch me like that when you do that.
Sorry. Would you like to use your civilian name for the sake of those at home?
Yes, hello.
It's like your civilian name.
I've suddenly got really scared.
It's because
It's
you've felt the pressures of having not brought presents and
I haven't
sacks full of candy.
Don't
I haven't
be
got
scared.
presents. I haven't. Take your hand off that.
Hey!
That won't be inflating come Christmas.
We've got candy.
Candy.
Plenty of candy.
So there's plenty of candy.
The seasonal booze is flowing.
Spit it out, lad. Spit it
There's
out.
that.
Welcome.
I have had the best. I've come over to Chris Johnson's little house / recording booth. I've had I'm on my second glass of wine. I haven't drunk for a month.
He's saving himself.
I've
for
had
today.
2 slices of cake.
Yeah.
And a number
Very good
of
cake.
UFO sweets.
What is the
the
number
brands
of
are
sweets that
probably
you've had?
What?
What is the number?
I think 4.
Oh,
Four's a
good
good
lord.
number. 4's a good number.
I'm effectively half man, half sugar.
Hey!
So, Father Christmas, pretty much.
Yeah, because
then.
he's made largely of candy.
That's true.
Yeah.
Please welcome, technically, back to the podcast.
Oh yeah, I haven't even said
Mr.
hello.
Guy Lambert.
Hello.
Hey!
Hello. I feel strange not being with Danny Sim.
Yeah, no, that's
I might phone him during the podcast. Can we do that?
people do ask quite.
You're the one with his phone
Shall I
number.
do that?
People do ask. That would be quite funny. Well, we need to get him on as well. But people do ask.
No, he's not
quite,
allowed to come
People
on.
do ask. Oh, for reasons.
No, he's too expensive.
Right. Well, for many moons, people have said people who listen to Big Damn Cast and people who listen to the pre Big Damn Cast days of 9 is 10.
Yeah.
When's Guy Lambert coming onto the podcast?
Yeah.
When's Guy Lambert coming onto the podcast?
I've been one of those people. I've been insisting. What episode is this? 134?
122, not far off.
2000.
2077.
But that's the guilt you see is that
Predate.
for those who've missed you. And speaking of Danny Sim, if you want to hear Guy weekly,
Yeah.
check
and
out
weeping.
Smash the Media, the
Weeping
podcast
week.
on iTunes and SoundCloud. Smash the Media is on every week. Give us a basic 2-sentence summary of what the hell Smash the Media is about.
Smash Media is me, aged 43, and Danny Sim, aged 21. Danny Sim is a YouTuber, musician, lots of those young things young people do.
Yeah.
I used to have an agency, don't do that anymore. Used to produce telly, don't do that anymore. So I'm old, he's young. We talk about stuff from 2 different perspectives. Sometimes we're very similar in our thoughts. Sometimes we're very different. That's the joy, you just don't know.
Because you are smashing.
We are smashing the media apart. We're going,
Yeah.
boom, it's smashed. Look at the pieces. Look at what we've done. Look at the damage we've done. We like to see ourselves as the rebels. We're a bit edgy. There's a bit of swearing. You never know.
Well, we love a bit of swearing.
You never know when the old F-bomb may drop.
Oh.
We've yet to do the C-bomb. That'll be for the 100th episode.
Oh, I'm dropping C-bombs all
We'll
the
be
time.
naming several people we think are C word.
Episode 100 is just 100 names that you think
Yeah.
deserve that moniker.
Yeah,
And you
I've
just
already
read
got a
them.
list of 105.
100.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Watch Mojo presents the top 100.
Yeah, you don't say that word either, right?
Oh, I will say it.
Have you said that word?
Matt says it in abundance. I drop it from time to time.
It's like a seasonal gift with
I
me.
never really use it as an insult. I just say it when I can't remember someone's name.
Yeah.
It's
Tony, Muck,
Yeah,
etc.
some cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the most common use of it in
Just
this
throw it
podcast,
off.
actually.
Tony, Muck, cunt.
Throw it off. I don't know. Some cunt.
Don't you get people complaining? We got someone.
No, because all our listeners are 14.
Yeah, so they're all edgy.
Do you know the Grey's
They're all edgy. They like the swear words because it's edgy. Don't you guys? Eh?
You know,
Bottom.
the
Willies.
best joke I was ever told by a friend of mine.
Oh, God.
I said to him, when did you have... Because he's into cryptozoology. You know, sort of Loch Ness
sweet.
Monster, Yeti,
Yeah.
da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I said to him...
Bullshit, essentially.
Effectively, animalistic shite.
But
Fascinating.
interesting.
But he's got a
animalistic
degree in
shite.
it, so it can't be that much of a bullshit.
Excellent. Well, no, because cryptozoology is like... It also covers things that have been thought extinct and found to be still, around. Things like the sea clown and things like that. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great joke, and I don't know what it is. But I said to him, how old were you when you first got into cryptozoology? And he went, I was 14. That's a good joke.
Yeah,
Didn't get the reaction I was waiting for.
That is a good joke.
That's a good joke.
Whoa.
That's a good joke.
That's like a clever person's cracker
I
joke.
can feel and see you deflating.
That's a smart arse's cracker joke.
That's a
right
good
there.
joke. That's the sort of joke
good
Stephen
joke.
Moffat would have come up with.
It's
And you would have gone, hey, someone get that man and make it Dracula.
And he would have made it every day for the next 3 years.
It's a good joke. Good joke.
He would have told you the joke, but he never would have actually told you the punchline.
Yeah, but the thing is, you were the punchline.
No, we all were.
We were all the punchline.
In a way.
all along.
He'll tell you the punchline to a different joke.
Aren't we all punchline?
And then he'll tell you
In a
that
way.
joke.
This is topical, isn't it?
Yeah, all right.
Talking about Moffat.
Well, speaking of topics, we will touch on Doctor Who
What
in a bit.
has
because
hazelnut in every bite?
We have
Squirrel shit.
True. That's
How
a
many
very
of those
that's a
ones
very
do you
your dad joke. That
That is
is a very your dad joke.
Actually, my dad joke.
You sounded like Paul then. That was
I
phenomenal.
am truly my father's
So
son.
for people who listen to Big Damn Cast
Halloween.
every week, I'm going to provide a little behind the scenes insight into what goes on.
Take us
It's 5:15.
behind the magic.
I'm going to take you
5:15
behind the
on Wednesday.
microphone.
What are we drinking to refresh ourselves during the podcast?
I was going to say I'm going to take you behind the microphone, but that wouldn't work because then you wouldn't be able to hear. So that doesn't work. I can take you behind the...
Have you heard this one laugh? They'll be able to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll just be very roomy.
The cat. That cat was terrified by this.
Dolly's frightened and aroused by our recording sessions.
Dolly's wary of
I
me.
can tell you, I'll give you an insight already. Before they do the laughter stuff, you have to be quiet for 10 seconds. Because Chris Johnson's clearly too lazy to edit and match the theme tune duration.
No.
It's a double-barrel thing because I use that 10 seconds as wild track.
What do you mean wild chat? I
do noise removal for every episode.
So when you edit
to get rid of
anything-
ambient sound, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
But there's no noise in here.
Well, there's always noise.
The only
Ambient
noise
noise.
is
As
the
soon as you
noise of
switch your
people
microphone on,
desperately
there's
trying not to speak for 10 seconds.
there's always an ambience, and based on like certain recording setups, it's not really a problem because the whole thing, you hear it throughout the whole thing. It's just how it sounds. But because we record sometimes in different setups, like right now we have the microphone. We're very as phrased by I think Danny on this week's Smash Media. We're a very guerrilla operation for a podcast. Guerrilla pod.
That's all because I haven't shaved for a week.
Right now, we're surrounded by booze and sweets, and the microphone is just sat on the coffee table as we talk.
Yeah, it's surprisingly near to me, and I'm not the one hosting it.
No, but it's slightly further away from Matt, which is a technical good thing.
Yes, because I had the
technical
loudest
good
He has the biggest projection.
I had the loudest
In the room.
voice in Swinton.
You are. For a while, I think we ran the conspiracy theory that you were Brian Blessed's child.
A strange loved grandchild.
Yeah.
Or a Viking's genetic sort of offspring. You know the way that Venom shat out Carnage.
It's
a Viking just dumped you out one day, like an egg from his back.
I can imagine you hacking your way out.
It's an infinite
shouting
monkeys
and
thing.
screaming.
Like if an infinite combination with there's only so many combinations of DNA. It's just
How many have you got?
It's just fate. It's just fate that eventually the DNA would recombine in a way as to be exactly, almost, but not quite entirely unlike Brian Blessed.
Yeah.
But just close enough.
Yeah.
Just close
You're
enough.
half man, half Brian.
Half Brian! Ah!
But at the moment we are, the behind the scenes bit is we are currently eating and drinking bits of your wedding.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, it's like
leftover reception.
It's like she's left
Yeah.
you and already.
But like immediately, yeah.
yeah,
so
but
we're
right,
still-
fuck this.
Like,
It was
As it's
actually
gone.
at the reception.
The comfort
Yeah.
food is the sweets and the cake.
It's like, I can't do this.
And you'd be like, can I just keep the Haribo, please?
It's ironic because I don't even like
It's
it.
all
That's- but I'm pity eating
No, but
it.
you want to torture yourself.
Yeah, in a way.
You want to
In a
punish
way.
yourself.
So yes, we're speaking of punishing ourselves. We will talk
Hey!
about Doctor Who in a bit, but it's a good one this week. I won't talk too much about it because I did a lot in the Five Who Fans discussion video. Go watch that on YouTube if you'd like to hear my full thoughts on Rosa. But I want to hear what you lads thought of it. Let's put it this way: even family members of mine who don't watch it anymore said this Sunday after it'd been out, like, "Oh, Doctor Who was good, wasn't it?"
Yeah.
It's like, yes, people are on board and they're
Feels
loving
good.
it.
Feels good.
I think it was a great choice for episode 3, and it carries on the weird tradition from earlier series of the third episode being a historical.
Yeah, I don't know why they got rid of that. That was a pretty decent.
There was always
thing.
episode 1 was modern set, and then episode 2 and 3 were interchangeably a historical and one set in the far future.
It was nice to have a bit of structure, though, I suppose.
What was the series where they did it the other way round? Was it...
Series 6 was the one where they opened with a two-parter, and then they did that again for Series 9.
But in Russell T Davies, there was a one where they went to the future first and then the...
Oh, no,
that
yeah,
was
no, it's
season
interchangeable. Yeah,
That's what I mean,
Series
yeah.
1 was Rose was modern day, End of the World was in the future,
Yeah.
and Unquiet Dead was in the past.
Yeah,
Series
those
2
Dickens.
was
New Earth.
which was not modern day per se, but it was straight out of Christmas Invasion, so it was that
Yes.
vibe carried in. Then episode 2 was
Tooth
Tooth and Claw, historical. Episode 3 was School Reunions. That was the modern ones. They switched them around a little bit there.
Yeah.
But like what I'm saying is, in that first 3 weeks where people are testing it and deciding whether they're going to stick around for the rest of the run, they give them a sample of everything in a way.
You got the
in a
smorgasbord.
way. Series 3 was smorgasbord. Series 3 was modern day, and then on the moon. Series 2 was historical Shakespeare Code, and then Gridlock for episode 3.
Ah, so that's the one where it was the other way around. Gridlock and Shakespeare Code.
Oh,
would
well, I
normally
guess
have gone
Series
the
2
other
would be
way
the
round.
most bejiggled one. Because then Series 4, Series 4 was Partners in
Pardon me?
Crime, Fires of Pompeii, which is quite heavy for a second episode, actually.
Yeah, it's intense.
And but with CGI alien like Roman soldiers, so I guess that kind of outweighs it slightly. And then
Are you
Planet
saying
of
that
the
Roman lives are worth less?
No, I'm saying CGI fire.
Oh, not if they're
Roman
played by
lives.
Peter Capaldi.
Ooh.
Modern art. But yeah, so we'll get around to Doctor Who, but there's a few other bits and pieces we want to talk about first. But also because it's Halloween.
Almost. It's almost Halloween.
Halloween.
It's not Halloween yet. Cock
Can you open this Haribo again? Because
We're going to talk about.
Chris has got Haribo in a box, but the box is very difficult to open. It's like a box from a horror film, isn't it?
Also, the
Hey,
box has a sticker on it.
Topics.
The box has a sticker on it which says 2-disc Blu-ray includes extended cut with 15 minutes more filling. So you're getting 15 minutes more.
Based on the
This are those UFOs.
I'm gonna get a
This
lot
will
more
test
out
your
of
geeky metal. Based on that sticker's font and style, what movie was that attached
Oh,
to?
it's Deadpool.
Yeah,
Deadpool 2.
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
Lucy
yeah.
finally watched, and she absolutely adored it. She even didn't mind the thing that.
wine all over my jeans.
Oh, well, if it's any consolation, you can sup it off the bottom of the glass.
There's none on your carpet. So
Just
it's all right.
behind the scenes audio commentary, he has spilt red wine on his jeans.
Some at the bottom of your glass. It's going to drip.
It's gonna go. It's all over the carpet. You've
You-
got quite big.
you pressed it right in, son. I was going to suggest you want to sup it off.
You've got surprisingly large calves.
Oh.
I don't know why you brought them with
Oh.
you, but
Yeah, they're not mine.
they're pretty beefy. They're mighty. Look at them.
The man walks.
And why haven't you got any leg hair?
I was born smooth.
This is a proper behind the scenes.
Have you? But your face has hit puberty.
Oh yeah, and my chest.
But what happened to the
also.
rest of you?
I think it's a fat man thing. Because
I think it's an action
Because,
man thing. I think it's an
it's,
action man thing. They always paint like chest hairs on some of them, and
I think
give
it's
them
it's a
stubble.
fat man thing because I was watching
Where have your hairs gone?
exactly because I was watching your favourite Netflix series Daredevil this last
Oh
week.
yeah, I love that.
And there's a shower scene with Vincent D'Onofrio, and he gets in the shower, and he's hairy body and smooth legs. So I think it's just a fat dude thing.
Yeah, but don't you think he shaves them because it's aerodynamic for like running and horse riding?
He's Vincent D'Onofrio. He doesn't run all
I don't know who that is. I don't know who it is.
He's Private Pile in
No,
Full
that's
Metal Jacket.
any words you say. Will mean
He is
The villain in Men in Black.
He's playing a big fat
Man.
dude.
Right,
Big fat
So
dude.
He's playing the best villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
right, and he's got the best legs of any of them.
I'll find you a
That's what
picture
you're saying.
of the wonderful
The
Vincent
smoothest
D'Onofrio.
He's got smooth little baby.
He's
legs.
got smooth legs and a hairy
That's
body.
a better name for him.
But he doesn't
baby
bald
legs.
head. He shaves it.
Smooth baby legs.
Not baby
Man.
legs.
I'm baby
Don't worry,
legs.
baby legs.
I'm-
I'm regular legs.
That's a great
I'm
name for a
regular
villain.
legs.
Baby legs.
baby legs
That's-
McGee.
Yeah.
Is-
We're currently, just for the audio commentary,
Yes.
currently looking at iPhone pictures
Looking.
of people with smooth legs.
That is Vincent D'Onofrio. He's a smooth
Wow, he's
head.
got a smooth head.
Yeah, well, that's he shaves his head for. He usually looks like
Oh,
that.
does he usually have hair?
Yeah. he
Oh,
usually
look,
looks like
he's
that.
quite hairy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a hairy man, but has smooth legs.
He looks like
great.
the
He-
guy who
he-
directed
he
Citizen
Tenon-
Kane. Orson Welles. He looks
Orson
like
Welles.
Orson
He
Welles.
does
He
have
does look like
Do you
Orson
think
Welles.
Orson Welles had smooth legs?
Probably.
Do you think that's why he went and did the Care Bears?
That's why he was so angry.
He was upset.
Speaking of Marvel Netflix shows, we move on to the first item on our
I don't know what you're talking
this
about,
week.
Christopher.
Just over a week and a bit ago, Netflix let slip that Iron Fist had been cancelled. The MCU spin-off show for Netflix, Iron Fist, which had a critically panned first season and a critically sort of more positively received second season that focused more on the characters people wanted to see more of.
I hear the second season was really good, but I didn't watch it, so that tells you a lot about why it was cancelled.
Did you hate the first series?
Oh yeah,
Bag of balls,
it was
wasn't it?
terrible.
We broke our tradition because when we started this podcast not long after Daredevil came out, series 1, so we made a thing of every time one of the series came out, we binged it within the weekend of it coming out, so that the next episode would be about that series. And for Iron Fist, I just had no motivation to do so. Other stuff got in the way, and then I read the reviews and I was like, "Oh."
I liked
and then
him.
Matt ploughed through it and said to me, "Don't bother."
No, it's not.
I liked him, but every episode you were like, there's nothing going on.
No.
It's like, what? There's no...
It would have been, from what I heard, it would have been more interesting had the mystery of the series actually been from the POV of another character, say Colleen Wing. This guy's rocked up and is pretending to be Danny Rand. Is it definitely him? And had the mystery of series 1 just been, what really happened to Danny Rand?
I thought they were going to go that way.
That would be, and then they could have had someone turn up going, I'm Danny Rand.
Yeah.
And you as a viewer could have been going, for a few episodes, maybe they could have changed the titles or something and gone, oh, this other dude's the real one. Or something like that. It would have been really interesting.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. And focus on her because she was the breakout character everyone
Is she the one that ran that?
The dojo.
Yeah.
And she was one of the better characters in the Defenders, although she was criminally underused. She popped up for like 2 episodes of it.
She pops up again briefly in the second season of Luke Cage.
In the episode with Iron Fist?
No, different episode.
Oh, right.
Yes. Wait a minute. Here's the thing.
Luke Cage Series 2 has an episode where Iron Fist pops up and critically...
don't they go shopping?
Yeah.
No, they go shopping.
No, I made that up for the Smash the Media podcast.
They go shopping for punches.
Do they hang out? Do they hold hands and skip?
No skipping, no holding hands.
Do they have ice cream in
There may be ice cream.
But they definitely didn't get coffee.
Definitely go for Chinese.
What's the big park in New York?
Central Park.
Do they hang out in Central Park?
Maybe off screen.
Does one touch the other one slightly, like he's going for it, and then the other one goes, "No, don't do that."
I think that's just something you have to do if you're in the presence of Mike Coulter.
You have to touch
I'm
him.
just like, are you real? I'm sure there's a scene in Luke Cage where someone just touches him, and he's like, oh. A bit like that scene in Captain America where Hayley Atwell touches him post.
That moment.
And she's just like,
The moment where I simultaneously wish I could be her and also be him.
yes. She's like, oh, your enormous pecs.
And it's not done in a filthy way. It's just done like a... she sort of loses herself for a second. It's like, oh, wow.
Oh,
there are some people
he's
where
quite large.
you look at them and you think, I just want to touch you because you are like some other...
Yeah.
It's like
You don't seem
you're
real.
sculpted from granite.
Well, not just that.
Granite and marble.
But like, you're so intriguingly beautiful that I just want to see if you're real.
I just want to press my fingers against even your shoulder. Just hold them there for a second.
Yeah.
I'm just going to send a little shiver through the base of my deepest parts.
And then my trousers shall tense.
For the audio commentary, he's now touching his deepest parts.
It's a real stretch. Like
There's a lot of smoothness.
It's gonna be sore in the morning.
Like Mr. Phantazdog.
Sorry, I've thrown this off.
That's perfectly fine.
Well,
We can't stay on topic at the best of times.
Iron Fist pops from Luke Cage, and critically, that episode got really good reception.
Yeah.
When this is how he should be written. This is how Danny Rand should be written, and these two should be on screen together more. Like in the comics, they're a partnership in the comic books.
They had
Power Man and Iron Fist.
Because in Defenders, they sort of butt heads a bit, as I remember.
Yeah, and they have a
and that is kind of
really
the
cool
relationship
scene where they sort of team up when they're being ambushed.
That
and
is
you go,
kind of...
oh, that's Power Man and Iron Fist. There they are. This is really cool to see.
I quite like Defenders. That's the only one I really liked. And Jennifer... What the hell was it called?
Jessica Jones. Jennifer John.
Jennifer's little
Saunders.
Jingle Jangles world. Whatever the fuck
Jennifer's
it's
Jingle Jangles.
called. What was it called? Jessica Jones. That's great. That first series is the best thing there. They should just never have done anything else.
Did you see the second Jessica Jones?
No. Because I was told it wasn't great.
I really liked it.
Did you?
Yeah.
You really like most things.
I did not like...
Name three things that you like.
Here's a barometer, folks. Guy's not interested in the rest of it.
Any three things?
Yeah, name three things you like.
Quickly.
We haven't got all day.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The X-Files.
Yeah.
The Thing by John Carpenter.
Okay,
I mean,
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Hey!
I might trust your opinion on that. Anyway,
What was the one?
Not telling you.
Oh.
as a barometer though, here's it's just to show our listeners that people have different opinions. That's just how it is.
Yes.
Guy, what do you think of Batman v Superman?
Loaded question.
Well, here's the thing, right? You're judging me.
What did you think about? No, don't worry. We're all
Yeah,
gonna
but
be
that was
we are all
that's
going,
regardless of the question.
We are like
that's...
like the Rapture. We are all going to be judged. What do you think of Batman v Superman in 2 words?
Can I do more than 2 words?
Go for it.
Great movie when you don't need to think, you just want fun.
What do you think of Justice League?
Ditto. Great movie, just go with it, eat your popcorn,
Matt,
have a nice time.
What do you think of Justice League? 2 words. Or approximation.
It's fine.
What do you think of Batman v Superman?
What a fucking mess.
Yeah, but the thing is...
Would you Matt Watson?
Yeah.
What do you think of Star Wars The Last Jedi?
Oh, I love that movie. I think it's
I'm not allowed to answer that question.
probably the best in the series.
Guy Lambert, what do you think of The Last Jedi?
I would say it was not my favourite one.
Not his favourite.
No.
See, we can still get on whilst having differing opinions.
Yes, but he was jerking me off while we were doing this.
To be fair,
That'll get you far.
for those listening at home, Matt was just joking Guy off.
Oh.
I wasn't jerking Guy off.
No. I wouldn't let a man with
Outside
legs
of
like
the
that jerk me off.
He'd have to use his calves.
I think you would destroy most of my lower anatomy. Would be gone.
So Iron Fist gets
Just
cancelled.
nothing below the waist.
Yeah, I'm just obliterated.
So Iron Fist gets cancelled.
With my calves.
And people sort of
I
go,
cancelled Iron Fist.
Guys, you know what? One day, right? Do you ever think when you do your podcast, one day I might...
No, we never think.
That was the problem with the question. Do you ever think one day I might do something really successful? Like I might run Doctor Who, or I might become Doctor Who in your case, or whatever. I might do something amazing, and people will dig this stuff out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be like, hey, do you remember when you made that joke about? And I'd be like, oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I was directing a popular franchise over at Disney, I'd get fired.
Yeah,
so it's fine.
none of it wouldn't happen, would it?
Peter Capaldi has openly spoken about doing LSD and stuff in the 80s and 70s. And it never came back to bite him during his tenure.
That's true. That is true.
It's
In
almost
fact, now
as
that
if-
he's left, I really want him and Craig Ferguson to go on mic and talk about being together in those years and having a band.
In a way, you can see it in his Doctor, can't you? That kind of he's not.
He's a
quite
burnt
with
out
it.
punk.
Read Craig
Yeah.
Ferguson's book.
What's it called?
He did. I can't remember his corner, but he did one that was an autobiography, and he talks like extensively about that period.
I
of his
did
life
acid
and
with
about
Peter
the stuff that he
Capaldi,
and
a
Peter
Craig
used to
Ferguson
do.
story.
Did he just do LSD?
Acid, like smoke, God knows what. There's suggestions of more, but they don't remember a lot of it.
Said it all, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think there's skeletons in them closets?
I think they were just.
That's very true.
I think they were just Scottish lads who got
bury my
really, really high when they were in a band and had a lot of sex and drank a lot. Yeah,
that's the thing about people, right? That they're so unforgiving and they're so boring, aren't they? Most people are boring people, right? And I don't mean to sound all Tom Baker about that, but
if you say it like Tom Baker, it'll be fine.
Most people are boring,
yeah,
right? And not in a horrible way, not in like I don't like you, you're not pleasant. Just very basic, boring kind of.
They're just not interesting.
They're just not very interesting people,
no,
right? And they, as soon as they encounter someone who's interesting, they either want to stop it or
hear more.
They want to hear more. There's always this kind of jealousy thing, isn't there?
Yeah.
And when people hear stories like that, they either like today with Adam Bolton on Sky News there was some video of him swearing at his producer, and people were like, "Oh, he should apologise. It's outrageous." It's like, well, no, maybe you should apologise to her, but it's none of your fucking business.
No.
Like, why are you offended? You weren't even there. You don't know these people. It's like people just want to be part of it. Don't they want to be part of something interesting when their lives are so tedious?
It's not to say there's not a line. There is behaviour that people absolutely should be called out for.
Well, yeah.
I
don't think we'll be disagreeing with that.
I know.
But you know what I mean? Like, if I called you a fuck-headed bollock face,
it would depend entirely on the context of whether that was justified or not.
How do you know that's full name?
That's his dog.
It's on the birth certificate,
yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like, who cares? Like, if I fell out with you now and I punched you right in the face right now...
I'd be very upset.
Right.
Please don't.
And then 2 weeks later I apologised and we were, like, good about it.
Yeah.
If it leaked, like, a year later and people went, look what he did...
People would just remember the punching in the face part.
Yeah,
and
they
wouldn't look past it.
They'd be like, "Oh, you should apologise to us for being offended by that."
No,
fuck off.
No,
fuck off. Yeah. Anyway,
was it Ricky Gervais once replied to something we said like, "For anybody offended by that last joke, good."
Yeah, but Ricky Gervais is a bit of a prick, though, isn't he?
He is, but I do sort of agree with his leaning on offensive. Not necessarily some of the jokes and the attitudes he's shown. In
you don't endorse his opinions, but you endorse his right to have opinions.
Yes, and I do sort of agree with his view on offence.
I think
when it comes to like people coming to something for a certain thing, getting offended by it and saying, "How dare you do this?"
Yeah.
When ultimately it's like, well, you've come to this for this.
I think he leans a little.
You either, if you don't like it, just get out of it. Like, don't listen to it anymore.
I think he leans a little too far into the being offensive for the sake of being offensive. He can get a bit edgelordy with it.
Edgelordy.
Yeah.
I think that's a specialist pornographer.
Well, you know, there's some crossover in spheres.
That's a crossover we're all looking for. Batman versus.
That's the true Defenders.
That is the true Defenders.
So Iris was cancelled.
Iris was cancelled.
People really enjoyed
after
Series
27 minutes, we're finally getting through the first news topic.
The people who enjoyed Series 2 are really miffed, especially because apparently it ends in a way that suggests a bigger story on the horizon.
Don't they all, though?
No, but like in a tag at the end of the series, it made people go, "Oh, I want to see what they're doing that." Probably even in finally getting to see him fucking beat up and tear the heart out of a dragon.
We were never going to see the dragon.
Which is how he got... It becomes the Iron Fist by
powers.
completing like a very specific ritual. Yeah, he beats the shit out of it.
Oh, sorry, I got massively confused. I thought you were talking about Luke Cage.
No.
Talking about Danny Rand.
Do you remember in Defenders... The underground excavation thing is in the skeleton of a dragon. There's that pull-out shot where it reveals. And it was like that show going... You might finally get to see this one day, guys.
Yeah, that was quite good Defenders in a way.
Yeah, again, it was weirdly overly long, even though it was shortened. I felt that it could have been 2 episodes shorter and been more tight because of that.
Yeah, we also felt they didn't really go
defend
there enough. They had nothing to defend. They spent a lot of time sitting down talking.
Elektra was perfectly threatening as an adversary, like, you know, possessed, resurrected Elektra doing the bidding of the Hand, but. Weirdly, Iron Fist and the Defenders made the concept of evil undead ninjas kind of boring.
It was kind of good in the way that it wasn't great.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. It was really enjoyable, but it totally could have been better.
And they wasted Sigourney Weaver.
It was as good as it was in the in the Batman versus Superman Justice League, which is I enjoyed that, but it wasn't great.
Yeah,
I just enjoyed it.
Well, that seemed to be the main reaction to Iron Fist Season 2. Which was then cancelled, and everyone went, "Oh, that really sucks, because we really like Colleen Wing, and we kind of liked the angle it was going this year.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks that it's short-lived." Less than a week later, the announcement gets out from one of its producers, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
That Luke Cage has also been cancelled.
Yeah.
Now Luke Cage has done very well.
But they'd already announced the third season for Luke Cage.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Mike Coulter, about a day after the news came out, put a statement out saying it's been one hell of a journey. As one door closes, another opens. Like, my wife gave birth to our beautiful baby this last week, so that's the adventure.
God,
I'm
imagine
on.
the size of that baby. That's going to be a big lad, isn't it?
What if his wife's really tiny and it counterbalances?
Just
the
averages out.
But yeah, so it's like that's
Send the flowers.
But like that's the so he sort of it seems like he has sort of come to terms that he already knew, and he's like, yeah, that's how it is, but I've got other things going on in my life. Thanks for the journey. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah. And this probably isn't this isn't the end of Luke Cage. He's totally going to rock up somewhere at some point. Like, our story won't.
I don't know, because I think like he was.
Well, doesn't series 2 end with another sort of we've got a thing?
Season 2 ends on a massive cliffhanger, not a cliffhanger, but a setup for what's to come next.
I would not be surprised if they now retroactively stick that into a Defenders and wrap that up in there. But
without going to the Defenders.
They've not announced another one.
No, yeah. The Defenders didn't have season orders per se.
Now, Danny Sim told me on Smash the Media, which is a very good podcast, that
give it like
it's a less drunk podcast.
The Marvel now get the rights back.
Yes, now you guys filled me in on this morning. I did not know this.
I didn't know it either.
Smash the Media, which you can listen to on iTunes and SoundCloud.
It's very good.
So Netflix and Marvel Studios have a deal. Netflix make the Marvel Studios shows that are set in the MCU.
Yeah.
But now that these two are finished, the contract is done. So Marvel get back the rights to make stuff about these versions of Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Now, if they have plans to release non-PG content on their eventual app, Disney's app that's coming out in the next year or two.
Oh yeah.
They can very easily announce a new show or shows about these characters. Daredevil's not going anywhere because, as Danny pointed out, they've got plans for like 6 seasons.
Well,
it's got at least one.
Doesn't mean it's going to be on
one
Netflix.
Pre-production cycle starting now for a 4th season.
And I think they've either they're currently or they've just finished filming season 3 of Jessica Jones.
If I was Disney and I owned those characters, I would, and I had a streaming service coming out, there is no way I would be letting anyone else have those shows on their channel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would be taking everything.
I get it. Right. I get it for leaving Daredevil and Jessica Jones on there because the stuff that those shows cover, the type of material, it's better to have that away from the family-friendly app. Because I can imagine Disney doing a PG-13 series of, say, what would be the ideal now? Heroes for Hire. Yeah. Bring Colleen Wing, Misty Knight, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist into one show.
Yeah, because Iron Fist was
based on their books.
PG-13 anyway, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, compared to the others, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bring those together in a PG-13 environment where it's not for kids, but it's okay if kids watch it. The older kids can watch it with mum and dad.
Yeah.
Do that, brilliant. But Daredevil and Jessica Jones, the world they're in, unless you wrap up their Netflix arc, keep them separate.
Yeah.
They inhabit so that they can, and especially the Punisher.
Oh yeah, the Punisher should never be in a PG-13 thing.
That is harrowing.
Are they doing another year of that?
Yeah,
series 2's out next year.
Is it good?
Oh, it's brilliant.
It was really good. Yeah, it was a fucking harrowing watch, but it was good.
I watched it in my downtime during the early run of the Panto last Christmas, and it was not the best way to spend I need to chill out for 3 hours time because I was just like, I am depressed.
It is.
But it's amazing television.
I did that with, I caught up on American Horror Story. And I hadn't seen Freak Show. Okay. So I thought, okay, I'll go on that, right? Kind of enjoyed it. Thought it was fine. Yeah. But man, it's full of blood and gore, isn't it? Just relentless.
Apart from the weird Halloween episode where it's suddenly about a man with 2 faces.
Yeah. Kind of like that in a way. But I was so gored out, and I started Hotel, and I thought, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with blood.
Watch the Twilight Zone instead.
I haven't gone past the first
television than
season
else.
of American Horror Story, not because I'm
because you're a little wimp
stuff anyway.
Because you're a little wimp with the hollow legs and the shaved
hollow legs.
He's
got hollow legs now.
Yeah, holographic legs.
Oh, I see.
He's got a woman's leg.
You have a woman's leg.
No, but because not because I didn't. I find it particularly scary or disturbing just because I just didn't care.
Did you think it was shit?
I didn't think it was shit. It was just But that first season took so long to get anywhere interesting. I felt like it was circling for about 6 episodes.
My problem
Just finding its vibe.
Yeah.
My problem is the undecided tone in every season. Like, it's anthology, and yet, so it's about this, then halfway through, but now this element of horror's in there too. Like,
Yeah, because like
freak
in
shows
Freak Show,
about
there's
shows
suddenly-
about freaks and that weird sort of world of people being exploited.
Yeah.
And the serial killer dressed like a clown, essentially.
Yes.
But then ghosts come into it, and it's just sort of why does a horror show need a Halloween episode? Like, it's just really odd. Series 2 is where I decided it wasn't for me, because Lucy watched
That's
series
amazing.
1.
Series
See, I've
Lucy
not
watched series 1.
I should probably watch it.
I saw bits of it, and I was like, so it's about ghosts and a house turning people into sort of unstable people and stuff. Like, okay, fair enough. There's that one random episode where Eric Stone Street from Modern Family.
Oh, that's
says like
actually
little
a pretty
pig,
good
little pig.
episode.
But it's weird because that ends like
Yeah.
a punchline almost.
Yeah,
it's really strange.
Like, tonally, it's all over the place.
Like, it's like, oh god, this thing he feared since being a child, the spirit in the mirror, does kill him, but it's just a guy who broke
it
into
wants
his
to be
house. It's like,
scary
oh, shit.
and funny at
Yeah.
the same time. Doesn't
And
always pull
series
it off.
2
From the first season I watched.
I watched some series 2. I was like, this is really cool. Like, haunted asylum. It's creepy. This is great. And then Nazis, and then aliens.
Yeah, there's a
and
whole
then
thing
the devil,
about,
and
thingy.
experimentation,
in the attic.
the devil.
No, the
Possessed
really
person?
famous Jewish girl. The diary.
Oh,
Anne Frank.
Anne Frank.
The whole
yeah.
Anne Frank
Oh,
thing,
and
isn't
your Nazi stuff starts to creep into
Yeah.
James Cromwell's character's a
yeah,
Nazi.
yeah, and it's great.
And yeah, but then there's alien hinting, and
That's
then
true.
Satan and possession, and it's like, pick one. Pick one.
But why can't it do them all?
Because what it should have done is it should be 2 seasons a year, 5 episodes each, completely different stories.
I think the problem with it is
That would be fun. I'd love that. That's why I really want Channel Zero. Channel Zero is like
Yeah.
6 episodes, and there's 2 series come out a year, and each one is an adaptation of a different creepypasta over 6 episodes.
Do you know what? I think the thing with it, and I suppose it's the same with a lot of these Netflix
Don
shows,
Mancini worked on a lot of that.
is a lot of shows don't find themselves till the second year.
Yeah.
When they reflect
but when
back
you're an
on the first
anthology-
one. But that's the problem,
Yeah.
because they can't build on anything, because every year is so different. It takes them a couple of episodes to find their voice.
I know you hate Funkos, but there's see the tiny Funko Pop over there with the sunglasses peering over the soundbar.
Oh yeah,
It's Jessica Lange from Coven.
it also looks like River Song.
It does, because they all look the same. I say that. I say
All
that as a
the
man
Funkos
who owns
look
about
the same.
40 of them. I say that.
I thought you meant women then.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought that's a
I own all the
controversial-
women. That's why we still have cake. I've been having wedding after
Yeah.
wedding after wedding
Is
after
that the
wedding.
noise I could hear upstairs?
Yeah.
No, that's... I'm not going to say it. I'll leave it to everyone's imagination.
Oh, no.
Anyway, it's unfortunate these shows have been cancelled. It was a really short-sighted move on
Yeah.
Netflix's part to cancel them.
I don't...
both within, or for the information to get out within a week, because even though it will not have been a motivating factor behind the decision, it is unfortunate that the cancellation is the 2 shows with, especially one of them, a very large POC cast.
Yes.
It's their most like representative shows out of the 2. Like, Luke Cage is obviously very influenced by certain TV and film movements, and tries to sort of get rid of like the blaxploitation era, but uses tropes of it to tell a new story that's not as sort of on the nose.
It's a series that
and
is
it's very
just
much about
steeped in
Harlem
black
culture and
yeah,
black
yeah.
culture especially. Iron Fist has got a lot of Asian culture and stuff in there, and it's like, it's unfortunate that information didn't come from I think only Netflix announced the Iron Fist one. The Luke Cage one came out separate.
It leaked, yeah, and then they announced it.
So it's come out basically as everyone who's missing the shows is just annoyed they're gone. But some outsiders, and we were talking about this before we recorded, how there are a lot of, well, even just a minute ago, we were talking about how boring people get offended by stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people have gone, oh, is that how it is, Netflix? You're cancelling the ones that aren't like the white people-centred shows.
Oh, that's
And
difficult.
it's like,
now.
that's not what
It is
they're
difficult.
doing, but it is short-sighted of them for them to be cancelled and to be announced so closely, because of course that was going to get some backlash.
Yeah.
Especially because last year, The Get Down, part 1 of The Get Down came out, had an amazing reception, and then for whatever reason, they announced that part 2 of this big TV movie that they were doing in 2 parts wasn't coming out. And again, it was a primarily black culture based on
Sensei
70s music.
had the same problem, didn't it? That
Yeah,
was a very,
Sense8.
very
Really
big
diverse
LGBT cast,
Yeah.
big diversity.
Well, the Wachowskis are both transgender.
But the
Yeah,
problem
of course
is,
they are, yeah.
you know, it's difficult. It's a difficult subject, but
It seems very regressive.
it's very unfortunate.
when you look at how like racial, like cultural stuff and LGBTQ plus culture and everything, it's very upsetting when we are in that big upswing of content that focuses on these things more now.
Yeah.
Because, again, how do you normalise something? You do it a lot, and then you mellow back slightly, because by that point you've said, hey world, fucking this is the world. Like, get used to it. Have you got used to it? Good. It's now part of a culture.
But the problem is,
for that many things to go back, it's sort of unfortunate.
The problem is, of course, it also then exposes how very little of that content there actually is.
Yeah.
When people are so upset that a series that wasn't great, I never thought Sense8 was particularly good, and I don't think it should exist just to tick boxes.
No, exactly.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
I can
Did
see
it wrap
why.
up with a film?
I have no idea. I think they are making a film. Yeah. But I can see why people are upset, because actually you look at those stories that they were telling, and they don't exist in so many other spaces, and that says more about our culture than it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else, really.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, got a little deep there.
I mean, that never happens on the Big Damn Cast. It happens all the time.
You enjoyed it.
That's like
you liked it, though, didn't you?
Oh, I love it going deep.
Yeah, you liked it.
Yeah, just all the way, baby.
There's a little bit of sexual chemistry right now.
If we keep mixing it, it's going to blow up in our faces.
Well, while I go and close the blinds, turn some candles on, and
it's
turn
gone
down
very
the lights.
dark.
No. That's called sunset.
Don't touch me.
I would like this hirsute from the chest up gentleman to is that an accurate description? Does hirsute mean
That's what hirsute means.
Yeah.
He's half man,
half Vincent D'Onofrio.
I don't know who that is. Oh yeah, that guy in the shower.
I would like this Vincent D'Onofrio to set us up for our next topic of all things spooktacular.
Does this often happen that you leave?
Yeah.
You just walk out halfway through.
Yeah, he's just tired of my shit.
You're just like, I'm done with this.
I'm sick of his BS.
As we all know,
Do we?
if you're listening to this on release,
Why are all the lights going out?
because
It'll save time for later.
this is where the fun happens.
Why are all these hands?
As you all know, if you're listening to this around release time, we are fast approaching the Halloween season of
Life.
Halloween.
Your biannual Halloween session.
So we're going to take a few minutes and talk about...
Fucking hell.
That's a real skull.
Chris
guys.
Johnson's just put a skull on my arm.
Actual real skull.
That's not a real skull. Fuck off.
It's
you
a
stupid
fucking real
bastard.
skull. This
That's
is a real cat.
skull. Look at that thing.
That's a real cat.
I've just
skull.
started handing out skeletons.
It's
I
like,
wish that was a joke, but it really
what
isn't.
can I do to motivate? Why have you got a parrot?
Because I bought them from Walmart, and be damned, I shall use them.
Why have you got a parrot? You've got a cat.
These were at the wedding reception. These
I've
were on
got a
the
man's
cake
head.
tables because it was a spooky theme.
That's what Pepper does every time I struggle. That's what I was talking about, when she sticks a butt up in the air for a scritch.
No, that was at Asda. You didn't talk about that on the podcast, so there is no context for that discussion about how you scratch a cat's arse.
Oh god!
I know, I'm just saying earlier.
Maybe you could do that. That was a little side job. You could
Side
do there.
hustle.
Just go around people's houses. Excuse me. Would you like your cat's anus tickled?
Oh, I can stimulate the anal scent gland.
Is that opening next year?
Yeah. It will be if I ever
It's
did
very
it.
controversial. Very controversial new theme park.
For those who skipped here in the time codes,
Fucking
this
hell.
is how it is this week.
So, with Halloween fast approaching, we thought we'd share some picks for how to spend your festive evening, or in fact, day and evening. Christopher,
Matt Steinholz.
you've got a day to kill and you want to fill it with spooky things and scary stuff. What would you like to do?
Well, as All Hallows Eve is fast approaching, and some of our listeners may not really be able to celebrate on the day, but we'll try and get some stuff in on the weekend. If I were to recommend something to watch, my first recommendation, Your Horny Toads, would be...
Fucking
You're right there. I'm going to kick off with Poltergeist. Poltergeist, the movie.
The original.
Not
The original Poltergeist.
None of that 2013 bollocks.
Not the feeble remake.
Was that Ryan Reynolds was in that?
No, that was the Amityville Horror remake.
He is ripped as fuckery in that, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
He's out there chopping
That's the only
wood.
thing any of us took away from that remake, really.
He's out there chopping wood, I think, and everyone's like, Jesus fucking Christ, look at that.
That is a man right there.
Oh, look at that bit of beef that's just wandered in.
Look at that salty beefcake.
I wonder if he grows hair.
No, it was.
There was no hair on that.
It was Sam. Oh God, what's his name?
So I am.
No,
Samuel
the
Jackson.
Poltergeist remake.
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell in the Poltergeist remake, picking up the easiest paycheck ever. No, I'm talking the OG. I'm talking the original Tobe Hooper scare quotes film.
Toby Hooper.
Toby Hooper scare quotes film, starring Craig T. Nelson.
Which may or may not have actually been mostly directed by producer Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, the behind the scenes of that movie is
not to
as
speak of the dead,
fascinating.
but
Yeah, is as fascinating, if not more fascinating, than watching it based on how you like your films from the technical side, or just sitting down and watching them. But Poltergeist is amazing because it's very Halloween-y in that campfire sort of way. It's very much a family film, but it's not.
That's the weird thing. What rating is it?
15 in the UK.
Right.
that's why there's, even if he didn't end up directing big chunks of it on set, which is the general story from the cast.
The belief is that Toby Hooper wasn't very on it. It was his second film after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was a very different beast to direct.
Oh, that's a horrible movie.
And you look at the stuff he's done since, and you
about
think,
it, but it's not
maybe this guy didn't do Poltergeist like as involved as he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But the general story from like members of cast and crew is that a lot of it was directed by Spielberg,
who was filming E.T. in the studio next door,
which would give it that family feel.
So he was coming across
Because it is about a family.
checking back footage or whatever, watching the thing, going, and then sort of going, right, could you guys try this? Could you do a bit of that? And this, the Toby, ask him to do a bit more of that. Okay, I'll be back in an hour. And then he popped back next door and direct a bit more of E.T. and then come back and tweak things. And in the dailies, he would make requests, and then he was sat in for a lot of the edit. So it's like, I think it's because he put the gamble in, hadn't he? It was Amblin.
Oh, yeah.
So he'd basically gone, you, Texas Chainsaw guy, great, you've got a really good eye for this sort of stuff. Come over, it's a horror project. It's not like because Texas isn't that gory. It's very implied gore, a lot of Texas.
I believe so.
It's got a very nasty undercurrent.
It's nasty. It's a nasty
I
film.
didn't enjoy it. I felt like
I think it's one that I think it's one where on your second viewing you get more out of it as a film because you're prepared for what you've already seen. But
I felt a little bit traumatized after. Like I'd witnessed something really unpleasant.
So you don't want to borrow the Steelbook 3-disc edition upstairs then?
No, it's
I might, because I've never actually seen it.
It's one of those movies where you're like, that's too... It's not horror, it's just a horrible thing going on. And I did not like that film.
It sort of birthed a genre that lives on today in like the films of Eli Roth and stuff. But Poltergeist feels like a Spielberg movie, or that, especially that 80s...
Oh, yeah,
80s era sort of action-adventure fantasy thing that just happens to be about...
I've got my own thing.
Oh, God, they're eating Haribo.
We're eating everything.
That just so happens to be about a really scary thing. Basic premise, for those who don't know, a family who've recently moved into a home.
Yeah, it's like a new development.
Yeah.
So the guy the father is one of the real estate agents who's responsible for selling the houses on the development.
Yeah. So
they're living in a show home, basically.
Yeah. And weird shit starts to happen, specifically being picked up and noticed by their daughter, Carol Ann, who eventually, one night, seemingly disappears into the TV. And hilarity ensues! People come to investigate it. You've got like a psychic medium. You've got those sort of that try and document it.
The wonderful Zelda Rubinstein.
Oh, it knows what you're afraid of.
She's a little old lady, right?
Yeah. She's her performance is amazing because she doesn't really need to do anything.
No.
She just naturally exudes that sort of warm but creepy, eccentric presence.
She's like someone, if you met them, you'd go...
You feel safe with her, but also be like, all right, okay, dear.
Danny and I were talking about someone the other day, and we were like, that person is definitely from another planet.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, if you met that person in real life, you'd go, I am convinced there's like an afterlife or something, because you are definitely in touch with other shit.
You are just straight up from there.
You've been there, and you've popped back to Earth just to freak us all out a little bit. She definitely exudes that, as it were, and the film is... the film is sort of solidified by some of its iconic visuals and lines and deliveries and stuff, especially when you realise why that house is haunted. There's this brilliant bit of Craig T. Nelson's railing against his boss, basically.
Oh, Craig T. Nelson's great in
He's
this.
so good in it, but it's the scares. There's just... Poltergeist opens it up so much. There is a malevolent entity of some kind, but not in the modern like ghost film kind of sense of things just being thrown around and people being momentarily possessed. The visuals create some really haunting ideas that stick with you long after you've seen it. One of them involves the tree in the back garden preying on like the son's fears of lightning and the shapes against the window at night.
Yeah.
And
there's a Chewbacca toy, isn't there, involved in that?
Yeah. One of them will make you want to stay away from like your cupboard forever.
No more bathroom mirrors, please.
No more bathroom mirrors. It's all fun and games when someone's dragging a chair across the kitchen without anyone visibly holding it, but then a clown doll becomes significantly scarier than it already is because it's a clown doll. I recommend Poltergeist to those who haven't seen it because it is freaking fantastic. But it's also fresh in my mind because Halloween Horror Nights the other week in Orlando, the last house we went into was the Poltergeist house, and it was amazing. You enter through the swimming pool.
Wow.
Yeah, which I didn't realise at first because you were just greeted with this mound. The way the Halloween Horror Nights houses work, and I'll tell you more about this when we go to tea later because it's so cool, but the way they work is you don't see them. The queue goes on forever, and based on how popular the house is, you queue in for between 20 minutes to an hour and a half for this 5-minute experience. When you come out of it, no matter how knackered you were, you come out of it going, that was worth it, that was worth it, that was worth it, because that adrenaline for 5 minutes is terrifying. It's great. But they're in the studio buildings, like the backlot buildings at the theme park, these massive, just blank curved roof, like long things, 2 sound stages in them. So you don't see anything. And then when you finally get there, you go into the fire door. And you go through some black curtains, and there's the house. Like, there's the experience inside the studio. So Poltergeist, you go through these black curtains, and suddenly there's just a big mound of earth. Like, about sort of 10 feet off the ground. And a pathway in the very centre, which was like, oh, obviously we've got to go in there. And there was boxes, or what we thought were boxes at first, sticking out of the earth. And you could see the top of the house just peeking over the mound, like forced perspective, so it looks like it's a bit further away. And as we arrive, those famous lines yelled by Craig T. Nelson are playing out amongst the sound of the wind and the rain. And you realise, oh, we're in the pool. Okay. And it takes you through what was underneath the house and the reason why everything's going wrong. And then it just takes you through different scenarios. So part of it, you went through the house, you went through a corridor, you went into the young lad's bedroom.
Yep.
Did you go through the telly?
Yes, there was a bit that simulated it. There was a bit that simulated it. You could see her above the door against it, like the poster style. And the statics thingy in the corridor was pitch black, so it was just flickering like it was static. And you entered through a door into that, and then it got real freaky.
How do they do that in the remake?
So
because there's no static on TVs anymore.
No static comes into it, but they make more of the camera work to show the flat screen to make it eat. Because that really just play up on the how the hell did that just happen? Because I think it shows her sort of go in fully.
Yeah.
And the so that's the one thing in the modern one was like, oh, that's interesting. Like her going to a flat screen is slightly more frightening than an old TV because you're like, wait, how the hell? No, that doesn't make sense. Where's she gone?
Yeah.
Whereas the old TV, there's the bulkier model, so you can kind of, but whatever.
You could hide a 5-year-old in a big old telly.
The remake's not great.
Some people probably have.
The original is incredible, and if you're curious, go look up the Halloween Horror Nights Poltergeist house on YouTube because people have done walkthroughs.
What about the sequels, Chris?
Matt, what's your recommendation? That's not.
I'll tell you about number 2.
Poltergeist 2 is pretty good.
Poltergeist 2 is quite good, and there's an old man in it who's got an incredible face.
Well, he was dying at the time.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know what he looks like in real life.
He was suffering from terminal stomach cancer.
Ooh.
So that was his last film role.
Yeah, because he looks 2 seconds away from dying.
Because he was,
Wow.
basically.
But he signed up for it knowing full well.
Yeah,
I'm probably not going to make it through this, but I can help you tell the story.
Yeah,
and
he's
do what I'm
terrifically
doing
creepy.
for
What an amazing man.
Yeah.
What a great thing to do.
A bit like Raul Julia, who did Street Fighter, was his last film.
None of these words mean anything.
Raul Julia, he was
Gomez Adams in the 90s
in the
Addams
90s
Family
Addams
movie.
Family.
Oh, yeah.
The last movie he did was Street Fighter, and he played the villain in that because he knew he was dying. He knew he had terminal cancer, and he wanted the last film he did to be something his grandkids could enjoy him in.
Oh, that's nice.
So he let them choose it, and they chose Street Fighter because it was massive in the arcades at the time.
Yeah,
What
so
did
like,
you-
you're used to him looking like that, Gomez Adams.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal in those movies, and like, there he is. And then he did Street Fighter as his last film, as M. Bison. And he, oh my god.
He's so
You've
good
heard of
in it.
chewing the scenery. He sets it on fire, waits till it's a char-grilled, like, sort of, like, husk of its former self, and then fills it with ham and eats it.
He's got bits of
It's
set
amazing.
hanging out of
I
his
like
jaws.
that. I
the
like
whole
this,
time.
man.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. The
It's
performance
great.
in Street Fighter is it's not a great film.
It's a terrible film.
He's wonderful in it.
What amazing thing though to think
And he did it for
I'm
his
done.
grandkids.
I'm over. This is not.
Yeah.
I'm not coming out of this.
Yeah.
And go and do that.
If you want to leave a legacy behind, then
Of course!
do you do it for yourself, or do you do it for the people that are going to be left behind? You do it for the people that are left behind.
What is it? He's
I
yelling.
do.
Was it he's yelling as he's like ascending into the air?
Oh,
for
I
the
can't
final fight,
remember.
lightning.
Something about psycho power. Gotta love it.
Being up there with the gods and things like that. It's so good.
We recently watched the original Halloween, or rewatched for us.
Yes. In fact, it's over there because I bought the new release of
Yes.
the DVD.
You should probably go and watch the original Halloween.
Everyone should see that movie.
Yeah, it's very, very good. I was listening to another podcast.
Was it Smash the
Other
Media?
podcast. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't, Guy. It was. I was listening to Weekly Planet.
Grab that gem, you guys.
With friends of the show, Mr. Sunday Movies and Nick Mason, not friends of the show.
We've never met them.
Don't know who they are.
Who?
But they seem lovely.
Who is it?
They're not.
One of them used to be a goat dressed as
pair
Han
of
Solo.
Australian dudes who
One of
have a
them used-
podcast similar to us.
Are
One
you
of them used
like?
to be a goat dressed as Han Solo.
Are you like the non-Australian version of them?
Yes,
Kind of, yeah.
but we're not earning money.
And we're nowhere near as successful.
Oh, were they really successful and big?
They're successful
Enough to
than
have
us.
opened up a broadcasting website.
More
called,
successful than we are.
Called
Planet Broadcasting.
Planet Broadcasting, where there are several podcasts that are hosted through it, and they get bare money, son, from sponsorships. Enough to make a living.
Enough to make a living.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they were harping on the original Halloween was kind of tame by comparison to modern movies, and in terms of like gore and violence, yeah, it is. But like the finale, the climactic sequence of of Michael Myers chasing down Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie is just nerve-shreddingly tense.
Yeah.
And they were also like, oh, the tension's always ruined by the fact that score kicks in as soon as whenever Michael Myers is around. It's like, no, that's
Did you see that video?
a musical motif.
Someone posted where they'd matched original Hollywood, some theatre in America where some people had seen it.
Yeah.
And they'd taken the audio track of people in the cinema watching it and they'd put it on the clip of the movie. And you can hear like people screaming and shouting. But people are loving it.
Oh, yeah.
They're absolutely loving it. It's like that's the great thing about a lot of these horror movies, isn't it? That you can both be terrified by them, but then there's that flip side thrill of it. Like, I guess with your Disney the experience that you were describing, you love it as well as being scared by it. It's a weird, like,
That's always
thing
been,
that
and like
happens.
there's something. It's just a visceral reaction to seeing terror play out on screen and horror and I'm not a huge
Not violence, yeah.
I'm not a
the
huge
thing.
gore hound. Like I'm not like this movie has. I don't mind gore, but I don't go into a film looking for it. But
Like, I sort of enjoy gore movies just on the technical thing.
Yeah.
Like, how
It's
did
more
they
of- it's
achieve
more of a,
this?
like, wow,
that looks
great.
really gross.
But
How
don't
did
you
they
think
do it?
nowadays that's taken away because you don't have that thing of how did you do that, because now you know that there are experts who know how to do these things. It's
Oh
not-
no, but more,
yeah,
more,
it's-
more just admiring it. Like when
It's
you see a
still-
really
it's
cool,
like,
when you
oh,
see a
that
really cool
looks great.
animatronic, you go, "That's amazing." Like,
Yeah.
regardless of whether you are sold on it being a real thing or you know it's a creature effect,
Like,
whatever.
well,
if
I
it's
had
incredible,
that
you
when I
go,
was watching-
"That looks so
when
cool."
I watched
fair
Krampus,
enough.
I bought it.
yeah.
It's over there. I bought it for £5 the other day.
Adam Scott, Tony
Yeah.
Collette, Christmas horror movie. It's full of really, really great practical creature effects and really inventive designs. So it's not scary in so much as like I'm terrified by it, but I'm enjoying it because the characters are scared and because I'm looking at this thing going, that looks fucking awesome. Like my favorite movie of all time, hands down, is The Thing, the John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
The
has
creature effects in that are
aged
astounding.
so well.
Yeah,
Because
that was like
because it's
82.
tangible.
82, yeah.
Because it's tangible.
Yeah.
Like, it's there. And the actors
like-
are reacting to
like
it.
I say, I'm not a big gorehound and
Well, that's more creative gore.
Yeah, because
it's not like a
because it's
blood
not
and
about
guts film. It's a that man's head just fell away like PVA glue melting and sprouted spider legs.
Because the thing, and this
what am I watching?
And this is going back to the reason why the original Halloween has aged so well, is because it's not about the graphicness of the violence. It's about the effect it has on the characters.
Suddenly, a 7-foot-tall man in a boiler suit and a hollowed out eye mask is in my house, and I don't.
You
know
don't
what
need
to do.
buckets of blood because the people in that moment are fucking petrified.
Well, there's like that scene in Spearhead from Space, the Doctor Who, where
what is it with us wine and Spearhead from Space on a podcast?
Oh yeah. But
it's almost like it's a great episode of TV.
You know that I think it's in episode 3 where the old lady goes in the house and the
oh
broken in.
yes,
And it's terrifying because he doesn't speak, doesn't say anything. It's very Michael Myers vibe to it.
Right down to the blue boiler
suit. And he walks through and he's just coming for her. And she tries to shoot him and he's not having any of it.
It's why zombies used to be frightening because that was the whole thing of throw whatever you like at it. It may be walking slowly, but eventually you will get tired.
It's the same with the
you
Terminator.
will hit a dead end, it will get
the
you.
The Terminator is essentially a sci-fi twist on Halloween.
Yeah, they're all about things you cannot stop.
Did either of you guys see It Follows from a couple of years back?
I loved it with the John Carpenter
yes.
That taps into exactly the same thing.
It's a good movie.
It's a very good movie.
It's a good movie.
That's a
that
Halloween
thing
recommendation
of how the fuck are you going to stop this?
It's brilliant.
It touches on so many creepy. It touches on teenage anxiety. It touches on not rape culture per se, but definitely the idea of being violated.
The death by sex trope that pops up in horror movies so much.
It's an STD turned into a horror movie villain.
Yeah,
it's such an amazing idea, and it's done with that 80s lens and soundtrack, like a John Carpenter inspired synth soundtrack.
Sounds like a fucking John Carpenter movie.
And
I need to watch that again. I've forgotten how good that was.
Where you get paranoid, you start analysing every frame where there are people in the background in that movie. By the hour mark, you are watching everyone on screen because you're just like, is it there? Is it in the back of shot somewhere? And they tease you with it on purpose. There are some times where they have wide shots and people are out of focus in the back of shot, and by the end of that scene, none of it's been the thing, this creature. None of it. But you've spent the whole scene on the edge of your seat going, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's going to be there, or it's going to be there. It's that person over there, right? It's got to be. They've come a bit closer. Works on paranoia so well.
That's when you're in the hands of real clever filmmakers.
Oh, yeah.
When they understand not only putting... This is, again, where I didn't really like things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I felt it was just exploitative.
Yeah.
And just visually...
But I think what makes it sort of a unique one is that it was like the first to really...
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But these kind of movies that are very intelligent and they play with you and they force you to kind of be a character in it and you're working out what the hell is going on, and that's smart. That's super smart filmmaking.
I saw something else recently that does a similar thing. I think Lucy saw this recently. I don't know if you saw it.
Hereditary?
No. Hereditary's
she
very
saw that.
good.
I missed that.
The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
I think Lou might have seen
which is on Netflix at the moment.
Oh yeah, I saw that the other day. I didn't watch the film, but I saw it on when I was searching.
It's Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch, and basically it's a father-son coroner team. Like, it's a family-run funeral home, and they're also the coroners for the local police department.
Sure.
And the police there's a murder scene, like a old married couple of looks like they've killed each other, and then in the basement they find a pristine looking corpse half buried in cement. So they send this corpse to the father-son team, and a huge chunk of the movie is just these two guys conducting this autopsy and like finding more and more strange stuff and trying to work out what the hell is going on. How is this So
it basically starts with something like a mystery that you then think, I have to watch the end of this film because I need to know the answer.
As they continue the they find more and more anomalies. The Brian Cox character, he likens it to finding a bullet in someone's head without a bullet wound. Yeah. Like that's sort of the condition of the corpse, and then it develops from there, and it's obvious it's an autopsy. Like, there is autopsy scenes in it, so there's that level of gore, but it's not.
It's not gratuitous gore. It's necessary bodily parts.
And what little
story.
sort of violence and blood there is absolutely necessary, but it is very much that sense of an intelligent movie trying to eke out of you what you think is going on and putting you through the sort of same things that the characters are putting you through by... It holds back enough information, but gives you enough for you to form your own ideas, but without confirming anything. Until... within those movies, there's always usually a certain point of no return, so it does have that. Like, okay, yeah, this is what's really going on, but it spends so long playing with you that the joy comes from sort of just experiencing that uncertainty.
See, that's what I quite liked about, in a different way, I quite liked about the Saw films, which was...
Again, like I dug
They
them.
started off really well, actually.
There's a level, particularly in like the third or fourth type kind of ones, where, and again, we were talking about this in Smash the Media, that you...
Well, the podcast is available on iTunes and SoundCloud.
Yeah, it's a very good one too. They start to kind of make you question your own morality. And there's one, I think it's number 5 or number 6, where it's like the banking crisis, and here's a banker that was responsible, and she
it's health insurance.
Yeah, something, probably.
Yeah.
And you as a viewer are kind of challenged by that.
Yeah.
To go, do you know what? Are you cheering this on because she should die because she was what a bitch? Or what is your reaction? Do you know what I mean? And I think that I remember watching that thinking, that's smart. That's like topical, that's smart, it's interesting, it's different.
I think Saw had a lot of that, but so much of it got lost under the
visual
idea and the visual...
Film 1 deals in morality, film 2 has it but ups the stakes and the scare stuff and the gore stuff a little bit. Film 3 goes back into it really well.
I think that stuff's
and
always
then it becomes
there.
more gore with bits of morality tales in there.
But I think that those elements are always there for the whole franchise.
And then the seventh one sort of irons it out nicely.
Yeah.
And then Jigsaw came out.
Oh, I haven't seen that, so don't say anything. Don't say anything. Nothing.
I've heard mixed things about it.
Don't say anything. Because I said I'm going to watch... That's my Halloween movie that I'm going to watch.
As a fan of the series, because you're definitely a fan of the series.
Yeah, I love them. I think they're great.
I think you'll enjoy it, because I went to see it on my Bob Todd last year when it came out. And I came out going, yeah, alright.
The thing is, I'm not such a fan of the series that I could tell you what all the characters are called.
I don't think people who made the movies could tell you what the characters
which started to really confuse me by like number 6, where at the end they'd be like, well, Tracy Scoggins from film 3, she teamed up with Brian Whatsit from number 2.
There's also that whole thing of like, when does each film take place in relation to each other?
It's very muddled.
It's all over the place.
I'm sure it's very clever.
It's a twist of the film. Those films are... 1, 2 and 3 can be watched separately quite easily.
And probably should be.
4, 5, 6 and 7 kind of need to be watched in a marathon.
Yeah, it's like episodic almost.
Yeah.
They're just grueling though.
Yeah.
The good stuff is in there is just lost behind so much
but
needless
also,
gore.
Minor spoiler alert, when someone else takes up the mantle midway through the series, he starts to get rid of, or she, it's a he, starts to get rid of people
Very good.
in Jigsaw traps to cover his tracks.
Yeah.
In ways where they clearly were not meant to survive, which removes the morality thing completely.
Yeah. But that's when it starts to become
and eventually it bites him in the arse because someone figures that out. Yes. And they're like, there was no way out. Like, this isn't his modus operandi.
Yeah. But that's clear. I think that's really interesting, fun, different.
But the gore does... I think by sort of 5, the gore does become a bit... Oh, that's... I mean, come on.
I mean,
do you know what I mean?
I don't have a problem with gore. I watched Eli Roth's The Green Inferno.
Yeah, you're a madman.
Like, it's not like... It's just not very good.
This is the one with a bunch of teenagers and find a cannibal tribe and they all get killed and eaten one by one.
I would not recommend it. Not because the gore is... Like, I mean, it is because it's an Eli Roth movie, but it's just not very good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Well, Hostel, right? Was his...
I think Hostel's shocking on its own. Hostel 2 actually expands on the story and makes you appreciate the first one more because you understand what was happening more so than when you see it.
Mm.
But by the end of Hostel 2, I was like, I have no urge to instantly revisit either of these, and I don't need to see more. Which explains why 3 took like 10 years to come out and wasn't directed by him. He produced it, I think.
Was part 2 directed by him?
Yes.
But they've got
but they do feel like a part 1 and a part 2.
I don't remember much about them other than thinking there's a sort of that weird misogyny that comes with a lot of horror films.
Yeah.
Where it's just about seeing a woman
part 1 was
yeah.
about 3 dudes getting killed.
Oh, was
but,
it?
But then there's the lady who finds the 2 of them escape together because she's got that really serious eye injury. And then part 2 is about 3 female backpackers.
Oh, maybe that's.
And one of them gets out of it, and basically she turns it on its head and starts killing back and figuring out why they're there.
Maybe I'm. Am I misrepresenting it by talking about misogyny then? Because I remember.
No, not at all. But in the first film, there is a lot of that with the female characters who do appear.
Right.
But then they make the smart call in part 2 of making the person who screws them over and starts like kicking ass and taking names a female tourist. So that it's at least and then they play on it because the people who've preyed on her are assuming she's not going to be able to do much because she's just a little woman.
I quite like that. This is better than I remembered.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, part 2 makes part 1 better in retrospect, but
yeah,
I've not touched part 3, but I read the reviews and went, yeah, it's not for me because it has nothing to do with the other 2.
Need part 3 of that.
Eli Roth is a filmmaker. I found that he's a filmmaker who has good ideas and things he wants to say, but he just can't execute on any of it.
That's why I want to see The House with the Clock in its Walls because I'm intrigued by him doing a family film.
Because The Green Inferno is supposed to be a parable about
leave the natural order alone.
Not even that, but like demonstrative activism, like activism to be seen to be an activist rather than activism for a cause.
Sure.
And the people getting punished for that, but the way he executes on it just doesn't work.
Is it strange how you can make a film about women being tortured and then go and make a children's movie?
Yeah.
But you can't make a 3rd episode of your trilogy because you tweeted a few things people found offensive. Is that strange?
Not even that people found offensive, that people made a thing of finding offensive.
Yeah. Well, do you know what?
I can see that. I mean, I can see Disney's dilemma there and everything else.
Yeah,
but it's strange. It's a strange world.
I can see Disney's dilemma there, but they don't. They're a company with enough clout that they don't have to be so fucking spineless.
Yeah, as we talked about it before, we thought with this is the James Gunn situation we're talking about.
Talking about James Gunn, motherfuckers.
I think we would have been more forgiving if this was their decision had there at least been a few days before they made it, because then there obviously would have been time for them to think and go. Let's weigh up our options.
Obviously
it was a knee-jerk reaction, and it was just like, yeah. Well, do you know what? I'm going to throw him a bone. Let's get him some shekels as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because another Halloween recommendation I'm going to chuck out, before I forget about it, is 2006's Slither.
I've still not seen Slither. I hear it's
Slither
great,
is gross.
I don't know what this is.
On purpose. This is James Gunn's, I think, first full directorial piece outside of Trauma.
If I can find my phone,
Slither is
what did I do with
a thing of beauty. Slither is the story of something very weird happening to Michael Rourke. Michael Rooker, sorry.
It's a James Gunn film, so
of course Michael Rooker. He's Mary Poppins, y'all. Something really weird happening to Michael Rooker. And suddenly he has a desire to consume more meat. And the more he eats, the more he begins to grow and change. And his body
I'm putting my phone down. I'm enjoying your
description. His body starts to mutate.
What?
And the resulting thing leads to a story of weird little alien parasite slugs, of tentacles with teeth, and people being overstuffed on cannibalistic urges to devour meat. And Nathan Fillion teaming up with Michael Rooker's fiancée, played by Elizabeth Banks, to basically figure out the hell's going on and possibly kill whatever monster is now replacing her once husband. It's full-on B-movie sci-fi nonsense, but the visual effects, all practical effects, bar a couple of shots as well, are wonderful. It's gross and enjoying every second of it. Well, what picture have you showed him?
Oh, I'm intrigued. Why?
Which picture's that?
It took a while for me to click.
Oh, that scene! Oh my god!
I've not seen it, but I've seen that image and I'm like,
How do I get to see
Elizabeth Banks? I've got the DVD. We should probably come. Tell you what, if we end up not having a buffet tonight, we'll order in and we'll watch it.
If we end up not having a buffet tonight, I'm going to revolt.
Okay, well, we'll take the DVD and a small DVD player and confuse them.
Is it on Netflix or
I don't know if it is, but we might have to just have a film night because it's worth watching. It really is. Slither is great. It is a B movie made on much bigger than a budget than the B movies it's homaging would ever dream of having. It's got 3 brilliant central performances from Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks, and Michael Rooker, and it's hilarious and dark and uncomfortable, and it's great. And if you're wondering, like whether or not James Gunn thinks fondly back on essentially his like proper first stint as a director, in Guardians of the Galaxy, do you remember when they're chatting away with the Collector over the orb and the thing contained within, and there's all the tanks behind him, all the different stuff. One of them's just full of these little slugs that are just sort of crawling up the glass. They're the creatures from Slither. Oh. So they're in the MCU. Like, think of that what you will.
I think I get an idea of the tone of this film from reading the cast list and seeing that Michael Rooker's character is called Grant.
Yes, Grant. And there was an entire scene.
I know what we're dealing
There's
with
an entire scene after he's first sort of injected, where he goes to the supermarket, not knowing why he wants to eat stuff, but he knows he wants to eat something. And he just goes to the butcher's counter, and there's this upshot, like from through the glass, through like the sneeze guard of the meat counter, of Michael Rooker just looking down, looking really happy, and he just goes, "Meat." So he just orders a load of raw meat.
Do they eat raw meat?
He does, yeah.
Oh, so it's not like when you're really hungover or whatever and you just want
to eat... No, he orders raw meat. Well, he orders meat, and then he starts eating it raw, and then he starts going out and finding it living in, like, the farmlands, and he starts to grow and change from there. It's great. It's so good.
On the subject of raw, it's not...
Are you going to chuck this one in?
No, I'm only going to mention it in passing because it's a very good horror movie, but it's not a great Halloween movie because it doesn't really have like.
It's it's a grower rather than a show.
It doesn't have the sort of the campier aspects or the sort of the strong supernatural feel. But the French Belgian film Raw from 2016.
Yeah,
if you don't mind a bit of subtitled horror, is well worth seeing. But all the descriptions of eating raw meat and stuff just brought that to mind. It's about a vegetarian girl who starts veterinarian school in France, and as part of the pretty intense sort of initiation rituals for first year students, she's forced to eat meat, and that unlocks a hunger within her for more and more various types of meat
that goes beyond the conventional.
You can imagine where that goes.
Because she's the fact that she's a veterinary. Yes. Whatever is no coincidence in this meat-eating movie.
I'm not going to say anything.
Does she eat a tortoise?
No tortoises are eaten.
Does she eat fish? Like a goldfish?
Not that I recall.
Does she eat
They've had it tough enough.
Hamster?
No.
Does she eat a guinea pig?
No.
Oh, so this vet eating stuff, they didn't go much with it, did they?
Maybe you're barking up the wrong tree, guy.
She had a dog, right?
Guy! Guy, you like films.
Yeah, it's a good horror movie. It's not a great Halloween movie.
I love
just
films.
want to mention that.
If you were to whack on a DVD at Halloween,
a
film on a Halloween weekend where you're like, this, what one comes to mind for you immediately? And for why?
Well, again, we talked about this in Smash the Media.
Oh,
I think The Exorcist is still the greatest horror film ever made.
I can go with that, yeah,
and definitely. As I explained in Smash the Media, it's not because it's scary, which it is, because the idea is scary, right?
Yeah.
It definitely freaks people out in different ways.
Tell you what it is. Yeah. And I had a panic attack in the cinema when I saw it for the second time.
Holy shit, you were one of the people that basically like created the legend around it. Then.
I wasn't not that old.
Oh, no, but I mean like the reason why the film today sort of baffles a lot of younger viewers who have a bit of a stronger stomach for certain things. They always go, that wasn't frightening. I thought it was frightening. And they think it's frightening because the collective culture around that movie is, when people have seen this in cinemas, it has like caused people to faint, it's caused people to have heart attacks, it's caused people to have like night terrors for days afterwards. Like, so on your second viewing in a theatrical setting for this movie, got you that bad.
Yeah, the first time I saw it was at home on VHS. And
perfect.
It was scary, but it didn't really, because I think I was about 19 or something. No, I was younger than that. I was probably like 15, 16. And I was so like, when you're like really anti-religious when you're young, you're like, no, Mum, I've just decided there's no God. And your mum's like, oh God, here we go. Right,
there was a phase where like people who sort of discovered like that they're an atheist or realise they're an atheist.
And you think you're the first
at a certain
person
age.
ever.
And you start to put posters of Richard Dawkins up in your bedroom.
Yeah, you're jerking off over the God principle. I know the score. But there is that moment. And so anything to do with God or any religious thing, you're like, it's stupid, stupid, stupid. It's like a defence mechanism in a way.
Yeah.
But if you watch it in a cinema with people in basically a perfect panic attack scenario where you're in the dark, you don't know where the exits are necessarily because you're not familiar with the space. Mm-hmm. You're with people that would think it was weird if you left. You're watching a movie where you don't want to leave because you would look really stupid to leave. And this movie is relentless, isn't it? Like, the scenes go on for ages. And all it is like and they're screaming all this Bible shit.
It's uncomfortable.
It makes you want it just to pause it. You want to press pause. I just need to just have a breather. It's like if you go on a jog or something like that, and you get to the point where you go, I need to stop for a minute because this is intense. And that's what that movie does. And that's, talking about like the cleverness of filmmaking. That film is terrifying because it does not let you go. It drags you into it and you cannot get the fuck away from it. And it's much better in the cinema because at home you can look at other things. Like if you were in this room right now watching it, I could say,
look at that Jessica Lange Funko.
Yeah, you could look at other things, you could turn away, you could find something. But in a cinema, you are there, man. You are not leaving that
being
scene.
smacked in the face by it.
And
that's why I still have gone to the cinema because it's
that's what the movie was made for. It was not made to be watched on DVD on a laptop in a bedroom or something.
No.
So that is a great film.
I think there's something to be said about that idea of the film being so relentless it doesn't let up with that discomfort. I have similar feelings about more recent films such as The Babadook.
Oh yeah, that does that to a point.
The more recent Hereditary, as we mentioned earlier, that has a very similar sort of relentless tone to it. I think that's a very good shout.
But I wouldn't watch that ever again because it terrified me.
So you're recommending it, but not to watch, just recommending it.
If you haven't seen it, go and watch it.
Hold the DVD cover in your hand and think about it.
I think it's a great movie. It's one of the outstanding movies of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
But as I said on Smash Media, my favourite go-to horror thing, it's a bit Hollywood, it's a little bit, I guess...
No, go for that. We'll be open with Poltergeist, yeah.
But it's also terrifying, is Exorcist 3. Which no one
Heretic.
ever talks about. No, Heretic's number 2.
Is that number 2?
That's the Richard Burton weird one with there's 2 versions.
Oh, that's the one where it's like hypnotherapy and it is an actual sequel to the first one.
And I think he goes to Iraq or somewhere, doesn't he? And he's in the desert. I think that they pick up on that thing from the first one.
I think so.
Yeah, number 3 is the one with Brad Dourif.
That's correct.
And, oh God,
and George C. Scott.
Yeah.
And...
I need to see that.
Yeah,
no, that's really good.
I can't really describe it without giving it away, and I don't want to.
Imagine some really good actors dealing with the notion of being more than one person and having lots of really creepy dialogue with themselves in small padded rooms.
And there's also just lots of very creepy shots. There's a very famous shot, and I won't tell you what happens. Yeah, it's the corridor.
Yeah.
And it makes you watch a static, just a bit of movement corridor for ages, and then something happens in that. And it's just very well thought through. I don't know if William Friedkin directed it. I can't remember.
I think he did.
But it's very thought out.
I think William Peter Blatty directed it.
Yes, you are right. I think he did.
Yeah. Who wrote the original novel and the screenplay for it.
It's just very... It's basically a cop movie mixed with exorcism stuff. It's just very good. And very...
It can be done with varying degrees of success, but in that one, it sounds like they...
Yeah, and it leaves you feeling slightly uncomfortable. And there's lots of things in it where things are just a bit wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not horrifying. There's no gore. It's just wrong. And there's lots of people in it who are vulnerable people that are affected. It's just a bit sort of unpleasant.
Yes.
That's the best.
So watch that!
I have 2 more.
Oh! What about films?
Hey!
Doesn't make any sense.
One of which I'm just simply going to say, head over to the channel, and on the Sunday after this podcast comes out, and you'll see a big down love about it. I'll say no more about that one. And secondly, really hard to find this one. Really tricky to find. I think it's out of print.
I think I know what this
fucking
is.
everywhere. And it's mid to late 90s John Carpenter, so it is sometimes loved, sometimes hated. It is In the Mouth of Madness.
I didn't even know what this is.
It's Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Post Jurassic Park Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Is an insurance agent who is sent to find
Sold. I'm watching it.
A very famous writer, a Stephen King stand-in named Sutter Kane. Very subtle, and played by the always slightly creepy Jürgen Prochnow.
Who?
Jürgen Prochnow.
Who's he?
He's in all sorts
all
of
these
stuff.
people?
I'm going to show you.
You've heard the name, and you'll know the face.
As
It's
I
time
say-
to match them up.
Jürgen Prochnow.
Can you spell Jürgen Prochnow?
Yes, I can
Google?
spell
That's a
Jürgen
great
Prochnow.
Scrabble score.
And
True.
it basically it's similar. It just fucks with the rules of reality, and it's got
just John Carpenter.
and it's got a Lovecraftian twist to it, and
Always
it's-
a plus.
It
I
is
bet it's
usually
about
a plus.
88, 90 minutes, right? Because it's a John Carpenter. And
But
he,
it's not.
usually
It's not
pictures it.
massively long.
I bet it's 90
He's nice.
minutes.
He's usually nice and concise, isn't he?
He is. He just gets on. He just says, "Look, here you go. Now leave."
Yeah, 1994 it came out. Yeah, it's an hour and 35 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Have you been
Jürgen.
traumatised? Good. Now
That's
piss
Jürgen
off.
Proch now. You'll have seen him in all sorts of stuff.
Oh
He's got a
yeah.
craggy face.
Let's have a look.
He's one of the.
He looks like the guy. He looks like the lead guy, Richard something or other from Battlestar Galactica.
Edward James Olmos.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It feels like he's been
Yeah, I
in
love it.
every sci-fi drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like he was the guy who's turned up and goes, "There's been another murder."
He's got
Oh no, it's Jürgen.
Oh God, Jürgen's here.
and David Warner's in it.
David Warner is in everything.
So there's that, and John Glover's in it.
John Glover.
Well, there you go.
What's he
So
doing?
I know you love a bit of John.
I
Glover.
do love a bit of John Glover.
It sounds great, and I
but now
must
he'll have to die.
Yeah, like I say, getting hold of it is a pain in the ass because as far
Why?
as I can tell, it's out of print
A
on
lot-
DVD.
a lot
It's
of
not
mid-
been released on
A
Blu-ray.
lot of mid to late 90s movies have not
and
had releases in forever.
It is, and there's a lot of stuff going on just out of frame.
Yeah.
Like there's some great practical effects in it, but you don't see a lot of it because because Carpenter's very good at just having that stuff happen, just obscured. And
Charlton Heston is
Charlton Heston's in it.
Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston's
Has he
in
brought
it.
his gun?
I'm in the mouth of madness.
There may be a good, and yeah, it makes up the sort of third part of what John Carpenter calls his Apocalypse trilogy, which is the Prince of Darkness, The Thing, and In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, I tell you who else is it.
Who else?
Who else is it? Star Wars fans.
Oh.
Guess the Star Wars actor who's also in this movie.
It's going to be either an obscure creature actor.
No, it's a very, very well known Star Wars actor,
Is it Mark Hamill?
but it's before the
prequels.
it's a prequel actor.
Oh, yes! Hayden Christensen as a paperboy.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say he was a lad. He made his
He's a
made his
wee
television
lad.
debut playing a character in Night of the Living Dummy 3.
Basically,
Really?
what happens is they
Yeah.
managed to track this writer down
That's great.
to this small town called Hobbs End, which is also a location of many of his stories.
So
And
they're
when
drawing on the main,
Yeah. And when they get there, they're not entirely sure how much of the books is pulled from
just living there.
the life that from Hobbs End, or how much of Hobbs End is pulled from the books.
Hey, I'll tell you something really interesting about
okay.
it. It was written by a guy called Michael DeLuca.
Okay.
And Michael DeLuca has been a producer on The Social Network, Captain Phillips, The Sopranos, Voyager.
A lot of really good stuff,
A
basically.
lot of good shit. Freddy's Nightmare. Oh, that must have been where he started. Freddy's Nightmare. He was a writer on that, and
Freddy's Nightmares, the TV show.
yeah,
Ah.
producer on the Oscars. All sorts of things going on there.
But yeah, it's one of my favourite horror movies. It's fucking impossible to find. It's really hard to find, but if you can, give it a watch.
Yeah, this is my horror movie happening right now. Where there's a cat.
Guy's allergic to cats,
There's a
and
cat
Dolly's
near
just
my
wandered over
flesh.
and began
Dolly!
to sniff Guy.
Ugh, I hope I smell of dog because that's what I've been.
Come on, Dolly.
Aren't cats like thin and brittle looking?
No, she's
when you
tubby.
squeeze them, then you realise that they're so
Yeah,
small.
well, you're just eyeing up that arse.
Oh,
You want
mate.
to get in there
I can
and give that a good tickle.
There we go.
Don't show it to me.
There
No.
we go. There we go. She
I'm
likes
not
it.
looking away.
She likes it.
Before the podcast, we had a conversation where Matt revealed to
Look
Guy
at-
that
and
he
she
could
loves it,
scratch
she's
the
loving
cat's
it.
arse and make them his bitch.
I'm not watching
She's
you.
loving that.
I feel like because you're leaning over me, I'm participating in a form of bestiality. I'm not
Chris, give us
comfortable.
some more Halloween movies before
Okay.
I freak Guy
My
out.
favorite kind of Halloween movie is the kind where a mystery lady in a yellow coat emerges from the darkness to harass
Hey!
and give a big hug to a man.
There is a woman in a film, a Korean movie, a little girl in a yellow jumper,
And she's here now!
You like that Korean girl? Actually, I think the film's called The Rain, or
The Host?
Hello, Korean girl.
she's got a balloon, I think.
Oh, she speaks like Dracula. Hello.
Hello,
What?
Lucy.
What?
Are
have
you
come
ill?
to- what have you come to say, horror character?
Are you ill, Lucy?
I dropped my keys.
Oh.
Terrifying!
I've got them now. I'm gonna go now.
Blair!
Blair!
Blair! Spooky keys. I'll be with you in a moment, madam. That's not a euphemism.
Christoph, have you got any more things to add to our Halloween before we move on to the Doctor of the Who's?
I'll give you a couple more.
Give me a couple more.
Oh, I've just googled Korean little girl yellow coat.
That was a mistake.
And there's a lot of pictures of little girls with yellow coats, but not the movie that I wanted. So I put that phone back there, delete that search.
Don't Look Now is a horror film that's worth a watch,
It
but also
is.
which involves a little person in a coat in the corner of a room who turns around and stabs a bloke. There we go.
Spoil the end.
Although it's a red coat. If
You've
you've
reminded
seen
me-
anything by the League of Gentlemen, you've seen it referenced
Okay,
visually
fair
over the
enough.
last 20 years.
Also,
A modern horror movie that freaked me out, and
Yeah.
I don't think it'll scare everybody. I think it's our first found footage mention. Is As Above, So Below.
yeah, that was all right actually.
I get a little bit claustrophobic
The found-
in some situations,
I don't know
and
that
that
movie.
film.
the found footage genre
Oh, God, yeah.
has been played out,
I'm just going to grab my
but As Above, So Below, I thought was a relatively inventive spin on the whole thing.
It's more that it requires you to pay attention so that
Definitely.
you make a mental note of where they've been, so that when it twists into the second half of their journey, you know where they're going to go.
It's basically
Essentially, yeah. There's rumours that the catacombs in Paris, there's all this stuff to do with like satanic worship and the idea
I've
that
seen this.
yeah,
I've
there's
seen
like
this movie.
It was to do with treasure.
where
but
they're trying to go down and down
Yeah.
and down. Yes, this is a fucking great movie.
Yeah, because like they start out and they go through one tunnel and they get to this room and this room, and you mentally map it in your head as you're watching.
And it's
So that
terrifying.
when they suddenly get to a bit where they're suddenly in the same room, and they leave that room and go back into the room they were in before that room, you're like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Hang on, they're progressing. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
You in your head begin to build up where they're going, but you learn just enough about each of the characters as it's going on that you begin to predict what their personal hell will be as it encroaches on the journey. And it's just the way it's shot and the fact that they take no prisoners. Like none of the characters, bar like one, are particularly unlikable, and yet
No.
they will all suffer a fate in some way. But it's also not like they don't use that as an excuse to kill everybody off in a glorious fashion. It's short, it's sweet, it's really cool, and it's a movie that when I saw it in the cinema, it really freaked me out. And I realised it was claustrophobia playing the part. And then I watched it at home the first time, it really freaked me out. But as such, I've got a really big fondness for it, because I'm like, I know that film will scare me when I watch it.
You know what's clever about it?
The fact that it's partly in French. And that makes it Nazi.
Yes, you can read as well as watch. What's clever about it is that it sets up a murder, basically a slasher movie scenario,
Yeah.
but it puts it in a context where it is all ability to get help is impossible. You cannot call an ambulance.
No.
You cannot call the police. You can't call anyone.
You're like 70 feet beneath the catacombs, beneath Paris.
Yeah, and you're not even supposed to be there. No one knows you're there. It is literally
and you're going
cut off.
deeper down.
Yeah.
And there's just some very clever shots. That beautiful shot where the cameraman. Oh, hang on. The spooky voice has just returned to tell us
The
something about
haunted
As Above,
lady.
So Below. What is it? As Above, So Below that intrigues you so?
That was so cute.
It's based on something real.
On what? On the
Is it?
catacombs
Is it
or
true?
on people who went down?
Yeah, the catacombs are real.
Yeah, the cats. I've been down there. Have you ever been down?
I've been down there.
Have you?
Yeah.
You've been to the Paris catacombs?
Yeah, they're terrifying.
It's
Because you just want to go, don't you? Like, you're
It's
down
Was
there and you go,
Was
I
it
want to
creepier
leave.
than Edinburgh?
Yeah,
Because that was
it's
pretty
just fucking
creepy.
bones.
The Edinburgh
Everywhere.
The Edinburgh, what were they called?
Vaults.
The vaults
Edinburgh
were pretty
vaults.
creepy.
Yeah.
And there's freaking hundreds of them throughout the entire city.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Basically,
There's these sections within buildings.
The-
and within
it's the main
walls.
bridge that went because Edinburgh's a big valley.
Yeah.
They built a bridge across it,
Yeah.
and then they built vaults into the bridge that people lived in, businesses operated
It was
out
for
of,
merchants,
stocking,
and then they
yeah.
all got blocked up as they came into disuse and became, people who were impoverished lived there, criminals
like
used
broke
them as
in
thing.
and
And then,
Wow.
then there were
crashed in
floods
there.
and people drowned
Yeah.
and people would set fires, obviously to keep themselves warm, but they would
Yeah.
die because of smoke inhalation. Yeah, it was crazy. But in Paris, I think it was in the 90s, they found a camera just on its own, and they took it back and played what was on it, and it was a guy on his own, and he was they can see him going in different places, and he obviously gets lost.
Yeah.
And he starts getting really panicked. You can hear his breathing. And then he drops the camera. Something happens, and he drops the camera and runs off. And then he's never seen again.
So we don't know if he's still he died there or
if he's out
He
there
lost
somewhere
his
in the
way.
world.
They kind of traced where he was going, and he was miles deep. He would have never got out again. Because he wouldn't have. Because without his camera, it didn't look like he had a light source.
Ooh.
I'm not going to sleep tonight. Thank you.
I remember when I was about
There's
7.
no Philosopher's Stone.
When I was about 7 on Blue Peter, Simon Groom went potholing, and it means
Are we going to turn this into a
exploring,
horror film?
going into caves and exploring
The descent
like.
path.
Oh, I thought it was researching potholes. That's
And there
really
was a
nice.
bit where he had to climb on this bit that was
Here's
just
what we descended earlier.
the top of it and the bottom of it were just wide enough for him to just push himself through. And I remember as a kid thinking, that is like hell to me. Imagine if you got stuck. How the fuck would you get out of that?
Yeah.
You'd have to wait till your body had not eaten for ages and then become thin enough for someone to drag you through. Ugh!
You just
That's
have
a
to hope
horrible-
that there isn't heavy rain and it.
Yeah. Or if you got stuck the other side and then the bit collapsed and you were... That is a terrifying fear of being trapped with a man touching you like that. Just a hand.
Yeah,
So,
just
as above,
as
so
above,
below.
I've lost the keys.
And while you're here, Lou, Ghost.
Ooh.
You sound like Mr. Humphreys from Are You Being Served?
I'm free.
What would you recommend as your Halloween pick? If people over this weekend were picking a DVD or a film to watch in lead up to Halloween, what would be your go on, put that one on?
Are we talking film or?
Yeah, can't be Poltergeist. I've already mentioned it.
That's my favourite.
You sneered at him like a cat.
I can now.
You've been trained.
To be a cat. Wait,
no-
what?
Oh, no. Why?
Project. The microphone's
I'm
facing
right
away
next
from you, but
to
I
it.
can't tweet
Behind it though.
You're behind it, though. and the
Oh,
sound comes in
okay.
this way.
Okay, I would suggest.
Thank you.
Sugar.
You can s-
Ghost Watch.
Oh,
I was
the
thinking we
TV,
hadn't talked about
the TV
Ghost
movie.
Watch.
Yeah, It's on DVD, isn't it?
That's classed as a movie.
It took 20 years for them to be allowed to release it on DVD.
I can't say the word pipes at night.
I think I'm one of the only people in the room who saw it when it went out.
I saw it when it went out.
Really?
Well, you had, no, what?
I was
it was like 1984 or so, wasn't it?
No, it was the early 90s.
92.
I was 4.
You know what, you're right, it was 90. What were you doing at 4?
It was 92.
I don't know,
It was
but I
92.
fucking remembered it!
It was 92 because the rebroadcasting ban and the rights thing came up in early 2012. And that's why BFI got round to getting hold of it and releasing it on DVD in 2012, 2013.
Because they banned it from ever being repeated. Because
It's never been on
it was
TV
20
again
years.
since,
It's
has it?
allowed to be repeated now should the BBC
they will
choose
never
to, but they
repeat
never
it.
will.
Because there was that story.
There's a big
of that,
campaign, like BBC 4, please show it, like,
there was,
for the anniversary.
because that lad. Now, this is me remembering it as however old I was.
I know what you're going to
92.
say.
Yeah.
There was a boy, wasn't he, who killed himself,
Yeah,
and I think the family said it was because he'd watched it,
Yeah.
and he was terrified.
In fact, there's
Whoa!
there's the cats in the basement
It's
from
pipes.
Ghostwatch.
Mr. Pipes! He's got back as a cat.
I don't think I
If
saw
Craig
it.
Charles is outside, I'm going to shit myself.
I've worked
And
with
then
Craig
remember Ghostwatch.
I've worked with Craig Charles. He's great.
Is he a lovely man?
He's a beautiful, lovely man.
Is
Have
he-
you worked with
is
Sarah
he,
Green?
No, but I once tweeted her, and she replied nicely.
Oh, yay.
Matt, were you disturbed for life?
Does this
I-
explain a lot of things about you?
I can only remember I had memories of seeing it, but because I was so, it must be one of my earliest memories. But because I was so young, I didn't have all the pieces.
Sure.
So it wasn't until when you got it on DVD and we all got together and watched it here, that I remembered all of it. I remembered the girl's drawing.
Yeah,
of,
like
of
the one
pipes,
with the
and I
fridge,
remember going under the stairs
at the end.
and the cut off. But
That before Michael Parkinson
Round and round the garden, like a teddy bear.
and that ridiculous. Does it end? No, I haven't seen it since it went out in 92.
I don't remember. I didn't remember any of the studio
But I remember
stuff
the
at
studio
all.
stuff with the papers blowing everywhere.
I
the
only
very
remember
last- the end.
And Michael
Yeah.
Parkinson go, right, I've got to act now. I've got to act. Imagine giving away a pen with some sort of pension policy. And it's like, he's just trying to pretend that he's scared, and he's not
Well, that
really
was the
buying it.
genius of it was not
I
hiring
think-
actors for that.
Yeah,
stuff.
but
obviously,
also
getting people like Sarah Green and Mike
Smith.
Mike Smith,
Yes.
and Craig Charles. Like, Craig Charles was the wild card, but it works in the context of the show because his attitude in it is a bit more flippant.
And he is an actor anyway.
Yeah, but at the time he was known, like he was definitely
being
being
a
known
poet.
for Red Dwarf at that point, but he was mostly known to a lot of the British public as a poet from his appearances on shows. So it kind of works because he obviously was in the public consciousness, but he's the wild card because it's like, oh, he's a funny guy. Is this serious? So basically, for those who don't know, it was part of a series called, was it called like Drama 1 or something like that? Where basically the BBC did a bunch of different dramas that went out on a Sunday night or whatever it was, like a Monday night, quite late. And Ghostwatch is loosely based on the Enfield haunting. And it's about a family, a mum, a single mother and her 2 daughters who weird stuff's happened to. So basically this show, and this is way before most Haunted and these shows existed.
Yeah.
Oh, way before any sort of
Long-term show, documentary about
and I
hauntings
think
and stuff.
it did leave the legacy that you are not allowed to do any of this kind of stuff. You cannot ever
Well,
pretend it's real.
At no
It was-
point do they pretend it's real in terms of how they presented it in real life. It was part of the part of the Drama 1 season
it's
or
like
whatever, like a Studio 1, I think it was called, something like that. The full title in the Radio Times and everything was like, Studio 1 presents Ghost.
And it had end credits and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And the Radio Times listing lists like cast. Michael Parkinson himself, Sarah Green herself.
Yeah.
So there was no bones about it on the night.
No, but at the same time,
but it fooled a lot of people who either didn't pay attention to the fact they were watching a late night drama slot on the channel.
It's the TV equivalent of Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast.
And that's what it is. It was the listeners in that case and the viewers in this case imagination that upset a lot of people and convinced them that what they were watching was real. I think anybody who was like tuning in and isn't a believer in the supernatural watching it was like, this is great, like this is really cool. But people who would say quite sensitive to that material were really unnerved.
I think
because
it
was the reason why it's a brilliant piece of drama but also the reason why I accidentally did this is because it's faces that people trusted in light entertainment, in documentaries, in interview stars. So basically, Michael Parkinson is there in the main studio at the Beeb, and he's talking like to a parapsychologist and to a skeptic, and they've got people phoning in, and there was a number you could phone on the night.
Oh yes.
But they preempted that, so if you phoned the number, I believe you got like a message that said like, "Hello, the phones are too full at the moment. Please continue to phone in, and thank you for enjoying Ghostwatch." So there was a, if you wanted to take part in that respect, you could. Like, you could give it a ring and be like, oh, that's cool. It's like a little Easter egg, essentially. But a lot of people took that to mean, oh, yeah, no, this is real. I just phoned it and it's real. And, of course, they have messages from callers, which at the start of the episode are very light and sort of, oh, yeah, no, I once did this and I felt like someone was watching me and, oh, okay, that's really good. But no, but you know what I mean? Like, there's little things where you're like, oh,
I've called in with similar things on those.
but at the beginning, that's how it starts. But because obviously, Sky Plus and all that stuff didn't exist, if you saw something on TV and noticed it, you couldn't just rewind and go, oh, watch this. No. And there's a bit early on where there's footage of something, and there's clearly in the back of frame there's an outline of someone behind the curtains, like backlit from the curtains. And 5 minutes later, they go to viewer calls, like, oh, someone's called in to say this, that, and then someone's written in to say this. And one of them is, then a few people said they're sure they saw something in the back of that shot, which, of course, if you're watching it at home, you were like, oh, there's something in the back of that shot. So they go back and replay that footage, and there's nothing in the back of shot. And it's stuff like that where it's like, oh, that's really clever. And I'm a big Ghostwatch nerd on this, there's something like 12 actual appearances of pipes in the show.
Right.
And some of them are very fleeting, and some of them are really, there's only like 2 bits where it's like, there he is for definite. The rest of it's these glimpses, or these moments. One of them's a reflection in the kitchen window in the back of the room, in a shot where you can see the kitchen window, and he's not overly lit, he's just there. And stuff like that. So it was playing on paranoia of the viewer, keeping an eye out. And the thing is, things start to go wrong and it gets a bit more intense. And it's effective because the presenters aren't... A friend of ours was at university, was doing a Ghostwatch inspired film as part of their final course. And because of my presenting experience, he got in touch with me and he said, would you look over the script and tell me if any of this sticks out as too actory and not presenter sort of thing for some of the bits. And I looked over it and I was like, yeah, maybe change that, maybe change this. When they deliver that, more like this, less like that, because he wanted that same vibe, because Ghostwatch achieves it so well that you don't for a second believe, like, Craig Charles is the wild card, but like he's the one who's sort of a bit more jokey about it and debunking it. He's the man on the street talking to people in the neighbourhood.
They really fucking sell it.
Yeah, it's great, and some stuff ages now, but I'll be honest. I think the only stuff that's aged in it really is just the haircuts and the power suits of the people in the studio and things like that. That's the only stuff that's really aged badly. But you could look at that, and obviously the fact that Michael Parkinson didn't disappear after reciting a nursery rhyme, and because the bloody
the
prompter is saying a nursery rhyme and he's just reading it like no, that happened. But the guy who wrote it wrote a sequel in 2012. It's a short story. It's like a 40-page thing about some of the crew who worked on it go back to that studio space for, I think it's a podcast. Like, they go back to talk about it.
Oh, that's quite cool.
And it's really good. It's really
Why
creepy.
don't they make that? They should make that as a thing.
Well, because Ghostwatch it's one of those things where, like, in TV and Smash the Media, I'm sure we'll cover this or has covered this at some point. There's like these invisible blacklists that exist within TV where people have decided, oh no, we don't want to work with them, or we don't want to work on that, regardless of whether there's a problem or not, because somebody's put it in their head at some point.
I think the thing with
there's a reason some shows you love have never been repeated. It's because some of them are on these blacklists that don't exist for and are basically banned for no reason.
Well, I think
and Ghostwatch is one of them because of the effect it had. So they'll never be some kind of. There was a follow-up documentary a couple of years ago called Behind the Curtains.
Right. Well, the thing about Ghostwatch is that it will never be as effective as it was when you saw it that time, because it's the context of the whole culture, which is Sarah Green and Mike Smith were people from Saturday Superstore, Saturday morning kids TV shows, and Michael
Parkinson. I'm trying to scare the cat
Just
away.
hissing at the
She's
cat,
clever.
sorry.
Chris has got a strange tick. Are you being possessed by the spirit of Mr. Snitz?
Is that our exclusive villain, Mr.
Yeah.
Snitz?
But you're talking about how it was presented as like it was obviously a drama. All that. But if you in those days in 1992, if you turned on the television, you wouldn't have an EPG come up and tell you what you're watching.
Yes.
You probably may not have bought the Radio Times.
That's true.
You don't know what the show is. It's not like it's on every week and you go, oh, I know what that is. It's like a show that came out. So if you turned on like 2 minutes into it and you saw all those people, you think, oh, this is a proper show.
Yeah,
particularly when they're trying to get
kind
people
of cool.
to call in.
Parky's presented a paranormal thing. This is
So
fun.
particularly when and it led to an enormous number of we can never do this again, we can never do that again.
It's not Points of View, was it? What's the show where they had like a studio full of people?
Oh, Open Air was one of them, and that one with Anne Robinson, which I can't remember the name of.
Open Air's the one.
Open Air used to be on the mornings.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. I'm sure I've seen the footage of. There's lots of people talking about Ghostwatch the week after, and they are furious.
Yes, because of course at that time kids would have watched and.
I did.
Well,
you were 4.
It was on pretty late. It was on at like sort of 11 p.m.
Yeah, I don't know how I watched
it was on about 9ish, I'm sure.
It kind of
because I saw it, and I would not have.
I might have finished around 11. It's a good hour and a half.
Yeah,
like
it's a lot, but I think it would have started at 9. But
God, it's good.
Talking
about it now, I want to watch it.
The thing about it is, it will never. The only reason it will never be repeated is because of them claiming that boy killed himself because of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was ever resolved, whether it was ever proven he did or didn't because of that.
Is that a thing you can prove?
It's like when Chucky was accused of being responsible for certain...
Being attached to Jamie Bulger. Then Child's Play 3 and another movie were banned outright.
Even though there was no evidence that they were ever had seen those films or anything else. But with this one, I think there was a pretty good solid thing of his mum saying he had watched that and that triggered him. And you can never... You just would not... Why would you bother repeating that to touch on that? I wouldn't. I mean, the fact that it came out on DVD, I'm astonished.
Well, I think it's because the BFI and other organisations were like, this needs to be available for people to see and
preservation
discuss.
thing.
It's a preservation thing. And
it's difficult though, isn't it? Because
I think if you did a night around it, not like one where you phone it and you're like Ghostwatch, like returning to TV, like not like that. But if you did a night, which like BBC 4 were like, right, so here's like a 15-minute pre-thing where we're going to discuss what the show was and the impact it had. Then we're going to screen it in its entirety. Then maybe show behind the curtains, the documentary about it. Yeah. And then maybe like a follow-up, just a wrap-up. So here's this, that, and the other, and this has occurred. Because behind the curtains isn't like a sugar-coated thing. It's very much here's what it was about. Here's the legacy it had to people who like make TV and stuff now, who loved it. Here's some of the stuff that happened.
Are there TV execs from who commissioned it and that kind of thing involved in that documentary?
Yeah, and like Sarah Green's in it and stuff.
Because she regretted doing it, as I recall.
At first, in the years after, she's gone on to say that she was very proud to be a part of it because like people have talked to her, obviously, now that they can see it again.
Yeah.
And they've gone, this is phenomenal television. Like she's gone like it was a cultural thing, but I think at the time she was still very much associated with family programming.
Yes.
So for her to defend it with the controversies attached to it would have been quite.
Yeah, I think he had quite a hit on her career, as I recall. Because you know, if you're involved,
I don't think it was a lasting thing, but it was definitely like, well, we need to obviously be careful what we do now going forward. I mean, when you watch it, there isn't anything that if you could never take a screen grab of it. For example, with any of those people in it.
Yeah.
And it be an image where people go, oh God, no, not watching that. Oh, that's disgraceful. They're in that. Because a lot of it is just down to how it makes you feel when you're watching it.
Sure. Like all we've talked about, all good Exorcist, everything else. It's what it does to you psychologically.
It looks like fucking daytime TV, most of it.
Yeah. That's part of that.
That's why it works so well.
It just happens to be at night.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what I mean? It looks like something like...
It's that setup of like, we're going to thingy on the scene now. So
it's like outside broadcast stuff. It's like what they do on like This Morning and The Big Breakfast and stuff, where they just be at someone's house.
Yeah, you live OB thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
I just realised the modern equivalent would be like going, now Ryland's on the scene where the 17 bodies were found, Ryland.
And him screaming.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it comes back to what we were talking about James
Gunn. The ghosts
Gunn.
only try to murder people who look like their beards painted on.
It comes
His
back
beard
to-
does look like it's painted on. I'm
It
sorry.
comes back to things like we were talking about with James Gunn and those kind of things. The minute enough people find something offensive,
Yeah.
it's a problem.
It's a thing.
If
It becomes
they
a thing.
repeated Ghostwatch, the newspapers would be dragging up all those articles about that boy who killed himself and all those sort of
Yeah.
things. It would be a situation where why would you do that? The BBC has enough shit to deal with from the press and everyone else
Bloody government and
without
everything, and
having dug up a show that potentially was responsible for someone killing himself.
Someone else should get the rights to screen it then.
I
Now
don't
that
know
it's
why
out
anyone
of
needs
Boots
to
and
screen it.
Because
You can watch it on DVD.
Preservation.
No, watch it on DVD.
The Horror Channel.
On the subject of contentious BBC shows,
And also 36% battery life on a laptop.
let's talk about
How long is this show? I've been here for days.
we are nearly at the 2 hour point.
Oh,
Due to
man.
the battery, we will not approach the record. I'll tell you that.
What is
No.
the record?
The record is 2 hours and 59 minutes, held currently by Sir John of Gransden.
Yeah,
What did he talk about?
all sorts.
What did he bang on about?
What
was
we-
like-
the
it was
three
like-
of us banged on.
It was World. It was
Should've
World.
been.
It was
I'd
World,
watch that for 3 hours.
it was World Cup semi-final week.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's not what we talked about, but
we kept having updates throughout of like, it's
Oh.
still possibly coming home apparently.
Yeah.
And then we'd carry on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting, wasn't it?
What did we all think of this week gone's episode of Doctor Who? Series 11, Episode 3. Rosa!
Not to be confused with
Rose. No. Series 1, Episode 1. Rose.
Rose.
Wow.
I'm going to give my basic thoughts off the bat, and then I'm going to go and grab us each a drink. What do we fancy?
Oh, can I have some more white wine, please?
Can I have some more red wine? Anyone's fine, I don't mind.
What was that thing called? Lockkeeper's
Lockkeeper's
Minge or
Minge.
something?
Yes.
What was that?
Lockkeeper,
He keeps it well, to be fair to him.
Lockkeeper's Leavings, I think. For those who skipped to the time code of they discuss Rosa. Hi, welcome. Okay, white for you, red for you.
Oh my god, I'm going to be sick.
If you want to hear my full thoughts on the episode, I think the best way is to watch the 5 Who Fans video on YouTube. Rosa
the best way is to
discussion.
phone him. And ask
Because
him.
I get pretty in depth in that. It's a long ass video, but I want to speak to you guys about your thoughts and feelings. So while I go and make us
Matt
I will
Watson,
leave you
tell
with
us.
this before you two have a chid-rag about
Oh,
it.
man.
I think it was the strongest episode of Doctor Who in terms of as it went out since 2010. In terms of how it made me go, oh my god, I really enjoyed that last 45 minutes. Enjoyed might be the wrong word. I was really moved by that last 45 minutes.
Yeah. Will you talk? I'll get the drink. I'll get the bowl.
No. He's
no,
got
no.
YouTube
Yeah, but
videos dedicated to his thoughts and feelings.
We've got to tell you what we think, Chris.
Yeah, and I will be listening just while I pour out fisherman's jizz. Or
Oh, fucking hell! This is ridiculous!
This is so disrespectful.
Walter Fisherman, the locksmith.
We have shown an absolute lack of respect
Can
for
you time
anything on
code
this podcast.
the Rosa chat from this point?
What, from this point, right now? Yes,
Yeah.
I shall. Hello.
The other bilge that preceded this.
I like.
Fisherman's bilge.
Are you talking about the Moffat era?
Lockkeeper's bilge.
I thoroughly enjoyed Rosa. I think Rosa is the strongest
my
episode
God.
of Doctor Who for years. Because it was very moving. It was all handled. It was a very sensitive subject, but one that definitely needs to be spoken about, especially to British kids. Like, this is not something that's really taught over here. To the extent of, say, the Romans and the Tudors.
I'm considerably older than the two of you. I think if you put your age... How old are you?
I'm 30.
Are you 30?
I know, right?
When did this happen?
January?
Your smooth legs make him think you're about 12.
I wish I wasn't 30, but I am.
You should be modelling swimwear in them legs.
Hell yeah!
And you're
27.
7?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm not the product of two of your ages.
No.
That's considerably older than I am.
Yeah.
But I'm older than you, right?
Yeah.
And when I was at school, I don't think we learned about anyone who wasn't white.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But what about you two at school? Did you learn about this?
I knew about Rosa Parks. I don't know when I learned about
Yeah,
her.
I don't know when I did.
I think it was something that I pursued afterwards. Like, I think I heard it referenced in something. Probably, I can't recall a specific instance, but probably something like Star Trek The Next Generation or something. I remember it being
that
mentioned
could be
in
true.
something like that and going, what's that about? And I looked it up. I think I first looked it up in the high school library, actually. I had a quick peek. I couldn't find anything. And it stuck with me. And then a few years later, I remember looking up on the internet and going, oh, wow, okay. And fill myself in a little bit. But again, like, we're not as familiar with these events as, say, would be taught in American history. But also, like, we always joke about how, like, America focused just on American history. But that's a bit hypocritical, because when you look at what's taught in British schools, at least as far as our generations were concerned, we were just only ever really taught about British history.
I think
and stuff that invaded British history, like the Roman Empire and things like that.
I think it's generally expected that a country's curriculum will focus on that country's history.
But this is much more a cultural thing and a racial thing rather than it's not exclusive to American history. The bus boycott and everything, and Rosa Parks is making a stand. Like, it's more something that we really should. And it makes me think, maybe stuff like that is about cultural history and racial history should be more of a focus in history class than everything else.
I think in the 90s when I grew up, it sort of, I wouldn't say justifiably wasn't, but you can see why people felt it wasn't, because there wasn't such a kind of I don't really remember that many black people being like in my class or whatever. I don't think we were as consciously racially diverse.
No.
As in your generations and how we are now.
I had an overwhelmingly white primary and high school.
Yeah.
I could count on maybe both hands the amount of people from a minority background that were in not even in my year, my entire school.
Yeah.
At the time,
you were definitely noticed if you were.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were not white, not in a bad way necessarily, but you were obviously.
Like, when you're younger, you think about these things in sort of, pardon the pun, like more black and white kind of way. You sort of go like, oh right, like
it's like
they're
now
not white and they're not white and they're not white.
Yeah, like now I live in Wigan, and whenever I see a black person, I'm like, what? Because you don't see black people really in Wigan very often, and I find myself staring, which I think, oh shit, what am I doing? And I kind of want to go over and go, look, I used to live in London, I'm fine with this. It's weird. It's a weird.
Why are you running?
Yeah, come back. But the same with like basically where I am in Wigan now, anyone who is not white, that's a curiosity, right? And it was a bit like that, I think, when I was growing up. There were a lot of
I think it's just
Indian,
inbuilt.
Pakistani heritage, but
it was for me, yeah. Like, a couple of...
My second primary school, like, made me realise sort of how white my city was.
Yeah.
Because my second primary school had a fair number in every class of students who were of a different ethnicity than white British. And that made me sort of realise my previous primary school, like, had been very sort of one kind of thing. I can't recall a single... Because Swinton's got a very big sort of mix within there.
It has
primarily
now,
white.
it didn't when we were in school.
Yeah, but like now, currently, like Swinton and Clifton, that surrounding area, like there's definitely more of an Asian community, especially.
Absolutely.
But there wasn't as much when we were there. And then when I moved to the second primary school, which was within the Swinton area, I was like, oh, okay, right. Yeah, all right. You notice these things more. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't really get taught about this stuff as much, whereas we really should have done. So Doctor Who had... This wasn't its mission, but it had a responsibility when deciding to tell the story to tell it in a way that would be illuminating and educational for a younger generation and be told with that care and dexterity. And most importantly, not overshadow the importance of what she did with sci-fi gobbledygook. And
also not to present the story without claiming to be responsible for the story.
It's quite the opposite, in fact.
To not remove her agency.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what's beautiful about it. Like, they do get in her life. And they do get in her life to the point where they are on that bus on that fateful night. And one of them is the one who ends up tipping the scale to lead to the moment where she makes a stand. But at no point do they influence or inform Rosa Parks in a way that suggests they told her to do it.
Yeah,
which is brilliant. Like, and I think Mallory Blackman is a very big part of why this script was handled so well, because she's an author who has dealt with these concepts before. I was being told by, I think it was John at the weekend, that like one of her books is about a world like in which white people of white skin, like Caucasian, are the minority. And it's an interesting concept. Like it's just told like, how would this be different?
She's an extraordinary writer,
So
and
she's very race conscious and knows
Yes.
like what's important and how to sensitively handle these things in a way that is entertaining, yes, but is also not discriminating to anyone being involved.
No.
It's more theoretical stuff and hey, everyone's welcome, come on in, let's look at how this would be.
I think with Mallory and various kind of children's authors, that they exist in a space that is so close to reality for children.
Yeah.
That children's television, and, the obvious thing I'm talking about here is CBBC, because they're the only, if you look at the children's BAFTAs, they're pretty much the only game in town when it comes to drama.
Yeah, I saw the nominations.
Yeah, you might as well
recently,
just go up to Media City and just give them to people at the desk,
like,
to be honest.
This one's for you, this one's for you. Pass this along to the actor next time.
Yeah, just turn up with a box and hand them out. But Mallory and those kind of people, they will go, look, we're going to deal with these issues. Now, I know things like Dumping Ground and other things do deal with it, but she's very conscious that black children have a bigger culture in a way than sort of white children in Britain, where their culture expands to America and other countries because they're very much into the heritage, where we come from.
Yeah, because there's that greater sense of those people having spread or being spread out across the world, whereas as soon as a white population turns up somewhere, they act as if they've been there forever.
And I suppose it's only natural in a way because, all right, there are black people throughout British history, but significant numbers are relatively recent.
Yeah.
So if you're a relatively recent arrival in a country, your culture is still going to have a tie somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And Mallory is very good at knowing that and understanding that.
Yeah.
And what I thought was, I just thought, well, did you love it?
I loved it.
Absolutely.
I adored it.
Oh my God.
I think it's very telling that I was, because my girlfriend and I, we occasionally look after a baby half brother and her nephew.
Yes.
We only had her brother for this one, but we haven't. It's a long story. Anyway, but he's 6.
Yeah.
And he's half Pakistani.
Right.
And
so he's kind of target Doctor Who age as well.
Exactly. And he was wrapped.
Really? That's interesting. Because I was very concerned that...
And he's not... He's one of those lads who is... If he's into something, he's in it 100%.
Yeah, like all boys.
But if something has his attention, if something can grab his attention, it's got him.
But what grabs his attention then? What was the thing that made him go, I want to see this?
He just looked up and was just like... The first 10-15 minutes, he was... When things started happening with Rosa, really, with that character and the fast dialogue and the fun of it, he was just mesmerised by it. And this is a boy who
interesting.
This week he will often ask to watch a film that he likes, watch half of it, and then go off and play with his Lego.
Yeah.
But that weekend we put on the first 2 Lord of the Rings films over 2 days, and he sat through both of those in their entirety.
I can't sit through those movies. They're far too long for me.
And then, but then, he went over with my parents to watch it, because I try and watch Doctor Who with my dad whenever we can, because it's a thing we bond over. Yeah. And so we went over there before we took him back home to his dad's. And so he was playing with some, because my grandnephew has some toys that my parents share him a lot. So he's playing with some of those toys. And about 10 minutes into the episode, the toys just stop and he's just looking up at the TV for the whole thing.
That's amazing, because logic...
It's not a flashy episode at all.
No, and logic and experience would tell you that if there's not a monster in it, you're going to lose it.
But there was clearly something about what was going on and what people were saying that was connecting with them. I don't know what it was.
Do you think it had a sense of importance?
Definitely.
It felt like it was...
Definitely.
This is going to mean something today.
And because it meant something to every one of those characters on the screen. Yeah. I think the standout scene that everyone will pick out is on the bus itself, where Graham gets up.
Yes.
And the doctor tells him to sit back down. And you just see that, and Bradley Walsh.
Oh,
Where
man,
like,
Bradley
people,
was.
It's that moment
people
he just goes,
start to get on, and she's like,
I don't want to be here
"Stay."
for this.
Yeah,
I don't want to be here
because
for
he
this.
realizes he's the passenger who tips the numbers,
And it just
by staying
and,
on.
and
Yeah.
he's so desperate to get out of there and not be a party to this. Oh, it's just so good.
It's
Yeah, Joe Lidster, the writer from Sarah Jane and Torchwood and other things.
Yeah, wrote excellent stories like The Nightmare Man.
He tweeted about how he just went to pieces when he saw that.
Yeah.
I felt
It's such a beautiful moment.
this episode to me, I kind of scared to rewatch it because
Oh, no, I've rewatched it. I recommend it.
when I watched the first episode of this series,
Yeah.
I was like, okay. This has got potential.
This is heading in the right direction.
The
definitely.
second week I was not so sure. I didn't think it was quite nailing it. It didn't quite
It
click
felt
with me.
very much like episode 2 syndrome.
Yeah.
Like episode 2 of some shows, especially sci-fi fantasy, is a bit... Yeah, it was alright.
I think they just had to work out how to get to the TARDIS and write 40 minutes of TV leading up to the TARDIS.
Yeah,
That was what they
One of
did.
the guys this
Didn't
past
quite
weekend said that
click.
it felt like the Ghost Monument. The last 10 minutes were written,
And then
they
he
tried to
wrote
work out how to
himself
get
that.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel
because that last 10 minutes is really warm and nice and makes you feel all joyous. And
yes.
as Doctor and TARDIS are reunited and our new cast get to see it for the first time, and
It felt more tentative than the first episode. The first episode felt like it was quite clear what the show was going to be about. The second episode seemed to be like, oh, we don't quite know what we're doing. Here's a little sort of trial.
here's some talking bandages.
Yeah, it didn't kind of click. But this episode, now I think we're all in the sync world of going, we weren't big fans of the Capaldi era.
No.
We were very, I was very, I remember sitting on this very sofa, in this seat that I am in right now, watching with you, Chris Johnson, The Magician's Apprentice, episode 1.
Yeah.
And I felt my entire body grieve because I felt like Doctor Who was over.
Yeah.
And this episode, there was something about it.
Yeah.
From the minute the title sequence finished and the TARDIS landed and all that, there was something about it, and I felt the exact reverse of that feeling. I felt like Doctor Who was back. And I started getting really emotional about it because I knew, and I was like, I just was begging it to be good all the way. I was like, please don't fuck it up. Please be great.
We were so worried about this episode going into
so
it.
nervous.
Because
But not just because of the subject matter, but because
also the series is finding its feet
just wanted
as
it to
it's
be
regenerating.
good.
But also because
again,
I don't believe that the previous creative team could have handled
No,
the story
again,
with any tact whatsoever.
This team, this current cast, is the perfect place within the show's narrative to tell the story.
I'm not even sure Russell
just
T
because
Davies
of their
could,
no.
No,
Well, no.
probably not.
I think he, although I think he would have consciously worked up to a story like this by making sure certain characters had certain experiences that we could get to that point. Because Russell's era did touch on racial sort of prejudices and things like that in Daleks in Manhattan
and in Shakespeare
and
Code,
in
it's mentioned.
Shakespeare Code, and very specifically in Human Nature.
Yes.
I think Russell.
So they had the place within the narrative and the cast of characters available to tell a story like this, but I think they would have worked more toward leading to telling a story like this. Whereas right now, it's a perfect marriage of subject and position within the show's narrative,
And also the
because
time
of
slot being
characters
on a Sunday.
because of characters that we feel upset. Like I think we're all after episode 1 a bit miffed that Grace is a character that didn't carry on beyond episode 1.
Yeah.
But because of her story, the impact of this week was even
Well, her
stronger.
presence
Her
is
presence
constantly
is very
felt
much
through
there
Graham.
this week.
Like
Well, I think-
much of him and Ryan's relationship is
the loss
informed by her.
The loss of her is also hopefully going to be the thing that draws Ryan and Graham closer together.
It's
like this week, like Graham sort of says, "I wish she was here," and there's that moment it lets you settle on it, and then Ryan immediately, without even sort of a shot to show he's thinking of that, tries to make him feel better by going, "I don't," she start a riot, and it makes him laugh, and you realise they're bonding over her and how she would feel about this, and how they feel about her not being here to see this. And
I
What's
think
interesting about her is
yeah.
that she's set up, isn't she, in episode 1 as being like the person who should be a
super
companion.
grand.
Yeah.
She should be a companion because she loves it.
she's just brilliant.
So you have to
tucks
kill
into
her
it
off.
immediately.
yeah.
Which is
You're
hard.
not allowed to enjoy it.
She dives right in, and that's why it's really exciting because you're like,
I think,
yeah.
I think for me as well, it's a stylistic thing about why this works so well and why it might not have worked with Russell T Davies' stuff. Because
Rusty.
for me, this is an observation
Not to
that
confuse
I've
with
done.
And I think I'm going to agree with you because I think I know where you're going.
I know. I'm only 3 episodes in to Chibnall's reign, so
of terror.
so I'm not. So this is not based on quite a lot of evidence because obviously his other work has been under other showrunners.
Yeah.
And had that flavour.
But you can feel it already.
Yeah. But for me, it feels like Russell's stuff was
It's the name of the
sci-fi
dime, it's the name of the
fantasy
dime bag I buy every
adventure
week.
with a dramatic window dressing. Whereas this is the other way around. It's a character drama with sci-fi fantasy window dressing.
Russell's era was Saturday night telly.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't put Rosa Parks on a Saturday night at 6:30. That's not going to work. And with John Barrowman popping up. You know, that... I absolutely love
Rosa Parks, give me a kiss.
I love the Rusty Davis era. I'm becoming convinced it was possibly the best era of Doctor Who that there will ever be.
Because it's so... But the fact that it was so good and it is now heading in the right direction again whilst being tonally completely different says a lot about what the show can be.
Well, the reason I say that about Russell's is because I think it just came at the right time for television.
Absolutely.
Where there was the ability to have a Torchwood, there was the ability to have Sarah Jane Adventures, there was the support for merchandise. That's not going to happen again.
Like, you watch that Russell T Davies stuff now and you are very conscious that it has aged. It is of its time.
Oh, yeah.
Not badly.
No.
But
it's just like any television from that period.
It is so encapsulated in that time and place.
And tonally, and with Moffat, it's too flippant.
Yeah.
There's a flippancy about it.
Well, this has come up a lot. The idea I've seen multiple people put forward this idea. Chris as well. Moffat is terrified of death and finality because none of his plots and stories have any weight because any finality is reversed or sidestepped by the things that happen. So even when he's trying to be grave and serious, he has to be flippant about it eventually because he doesn't. He has to stay away from that finality.
But do you know what? Do you know what I've realised? And it was actually, I think it was Tom Spilsbury, the ex-Doctor Who magazine editor on Twitter, that made me think about this. That actually, I thought that, but actually, Moffat's era is full of death and full of grief.
But they all get.
But
if you watch the Sci-Fi fans videos, Stephen Moffat's greatest fear, you'll.
Well, I've seen it, and but what I think
it's
is
a load of shit.
That Moffat isn't afraid of killing people off. He's afraid of the audience seeing them die and having the grief for themselves.
Because the finality of the death
because
is
actually
what
Clara
was frightened of.
Does go off in the TARDIS, but at some point she's going to have to come back. And someone made a very good observation. It possibly was Tom Spilsbury, that in the Twice Upon a Time show, when she comes back, she's in the same clothes she was in Face the Raven.
Yeah.
So the idea that she had to go back and die. You know, pretty much Nardol's pretty much dead. Bill actually is dead. Amy and Rory are dead. So what he doesn't want to do is allow you as a viewer to have the death and
Yeah.
have the grief. Because,
Yeah.
to be fair, like Russell Davis said, it's not the kind of show on a Saturday night where you kill people. Whereas, what's interesting
except
about...
when you do.
Yeah. Whereas what's
The show's
interesting...
history suggests you would, but I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
with the tone that they're going
nowadays,
for,
because
yeah.
I think he makes a very good point in The Writer's Tale about how single camera television is a very different way of seeing the world than multi-camera. Multi-camera feels artificial. Single camera feels real. So if you kill someone in a single camera show, it's far more upsetting.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting about Chibnall is there's been this... I think we really underestimated how big a shift it was going to be tonally and everything else moving to a Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't imagine this episode going out after Strictly
It's not
on a Saturday
It's
night.
not got the bombast.
No.
And that's what I mean by when I surmise that it is, and I imagine the rest of the season is probably going to be like this. It's going to be very character focused with sci-fi trappings on the edges.
Yes.
Like one of the complaints that came out of The Woman Who Fell to Earth was that the villain was so inconsequential and sort of flimsy, but because it's not about him. He's an obstacle that is set up for the characters to overcome. It's about the characters finding each other and developing that relationship.
It's almost borderline, but it isn't this. And I did worry that it might become this. A version of Doctor Who that is too worried about people thinking it's Doctor Who, if that makes sense.
I see what you mean.
It's almost like it's a drama that just happens to have Doctor Who in it.
Yeah.
Now, episode 2 turned that on its head, and I was like, okay, good, he's not going down that route.
No.
Because the last thing you want to be as Doctor Who is to be embarrassed to be Doctor Who.
No.
Which sometimes Moffat's era did feel like sometimes, where he backed off the...
I don't think
campness.
it's pushing the sci-fi fantasy trappings to the sides because it's ashamed of him. It's just more interested in the. I think particularly the Moffat era got so caught up in mythology building and fucking the grand scale and prophecies and
the complexities
and it's just
storytelling.
But none of it meant anything because you didn't care about anybody. Because
No.
at least one of the lead characters was a different character from story to fucking story.
But what's quite nice about it, I mean, I know we're supposed to be talking about Rosa, but what's quite nice about these different eras now is that, and I was trying to explain this to someone about things like Time and the Rani. At the time when you watched them, you were like, what the hell has happened to the show?
Yeah.
But now you're in a different era, you can look back and go, oh, actually, I quite like that. Or I see that in a different context.
I'm always going to have a soft spot for Trial of the Time Lord.
Oh, it's good. But every week on a Saturday when you were a kid, no one else was watching it because it was rating like 5 million.
Yeah.
At the same time, EastEnders was rating like 30 million.
Yeah.
And no one was watching it. And I was going to school going, hey, I love Doctor Who. And they were like, go fuck yourself. I was like, yeah, I'm the only one who will. It was like, you know.
Legally!
But you know what I mean? It's like...
Oh, God.
So let's get back onto Rosa, which is it's interesting because I was nervous to a point, but I know Mallory Blackman's work, and I thought, okay, that could go well. But I was nervous it was going to be Doctor Who versus racism.
Yeah.
And the last thing anyone needs really is a on the nose, don't be racist kids vibe, because that's like. What I thought was really interesting about the episode is that it was, for me, wasn't... This is going to sound absurd, but it wasn't so much about racism for me. It didn't feel like it was about racism. All right, historically, of course it is, but the tone, the theme of it wasn't, hey kids, don't be racist. It was almost like, be courageous.
Yeah.
Like, stand up.
It wasn't telling you not to do a bad thing.
Yes.
It was telling you to always do good things.
Yeah, because there was a very obvious opportunity when that quite hot guy from the Storm Cage thing,
Kraskow,
who was in a way the worst villain you could invent, but also the best villain for the story.
Oh yeah, because he's just a shitty space
He's
racist.
just he's
like
just
that's it's just like I'm a
shit
he
racist.
He is a future version of all the MRA wankers and Proud Boys.
I
and
realised
shit.
something on my rewatch when the Doctor's interrogating him, which was the scene. I said this on the thingy, but like, there's usually a scene early into a Doctor's run where you go,
Yes.
"Oh, there they are."
Yes.
and it was that scene for me
Yes.
where it was just her facing off against.
Oh, I
him.
loved it. Yeah.
So good. But there's something about that scene on the rewatch that I realised there's no inclination to his racism up to that point until later in that scene where he mentions that was the... She says, why do you want to change it? And he's like, because that's the day it all went wrong.
Mm.
And they don't outright say it. They say his last scenes where he sort of makes a direct statement of I'm a racist.
Your kind should know their place, which is like.
But also, I think,
but up to that point. Oh no, sorry. But,
yeah, go on. Because
before I forget, because it's
gone.
But he says, he says that's the day it all went wrong. And on my rewatch, she sort of looks at him in a way where she's like, right, you've confirmed it, what I suspected. There's a look on her face of basically, so racism's your motivation, okay, but. Before that, he talks about why he was put in Stormcage. He says no one ever got hurt. Well, maybe people got killed. Well, maybe a few 100,000, 2,000 tops. And they really make a thing, and the way he performs is really good because they make a thing of this is someone who likes hurting people and is happy he's got a record of murder.
It's like he gets happier as he remembers it.
Yeah. And then you find out what his motivation is. And I'm wondering whether or not most of, if not all of his victims have been racially motivated killings.
It would not surprise me.
Which makes him really a one note, but obviously one note in a dramatic sense of he's just got one thing going for him. But it's a real world thing, which is a fucking horrible thing.
And it's a real big deal now.
It makes him actually probably one of the worst people who's ever been on the show as a character, as a villain. He's one note as a villain in the dramatic sense, but when you realise the weight of, and on my second watch, picked up on that and thought, hang on, is that related? It's you are one of the nastiest pieces of work this show's ever had on as a villain.
But you know what's interesting?
He's the Daleks without the allegory or the metaphor.
Do you remember, of course you'll remember, Kill the Moon?
How could I?
Do you remember how it starts?
No. I don't recall. I
can't remember the girl's name.
I mostly tried to forget later Series 8 and all of Series 9.
Yeah. I remember the girl's name. The black girl from school.
Oh God! Of course, the story is about. Is it Courtney or something like that?
Courtney.
Yeah.
And it's about her being the first woman on the moon.
Right.
And they mention Obama later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously Ryan's got all this stuff going on. And I thought to myself, you know what's potentially, actually possibly suggested about this? Is that... And you remember Danny Pink?
Can you shove Dolly off the table, sorry?
I'm not touching this, Cat.
No,
Cat, I'm trying to make a good point here.
Dolly, bugger off.
There you go.
Fuck off, Dolly.
Ever since it's been clear, they keep trying to sit on it.
Remember the Danny Pink relative who is on some planet?
Who doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Based on the continuity after that, he doesn't exist.
There's a legacy there of black characters going forward in the future on other planets and the rest of it.
Yeah.
There is the potential thought that his character is trying to adjust history in a racial way because of what the success of black people in the future might do to other planets or might do to someone he knows, or there is a potential thought there that the fact that black people became more kind of liberated and all the rest of it.
So it adds that idea that maybe his racism isn't just cut and dry. It's just that. It's he was motivated the same way that people grow up to be racist usually because their parents or their influences
but also
teach them to be.
I don't think racism in a kind of skin colour way. I mean, there's a potential for racism towards humans.
Yeah.
Because there's no suggestion that he's human.
That's true.
It could be that actually what is being said there, I mean, I'm probably reading far more into it than there is. But I did think, I thought, I wonder if he is against human progression and
because he's much further along.
Yeah, because he's seen what this moment will trigger, i.e. Obama, first black person on the moon. All these things that could be the case. That actually it's the black side of our species that goes on and progresses and becomes great. Who knows?
I think that's actually a decent reading of it, because it makes racism even more backwards as a concept, because then it means that racism is inherently anti-progress. Which I think it is basically.
Yeah.
And so it gives an even deeper significance to Book racism.
But he cares enough to have
Yeah.
sourced a vortex manipulator. Nice bit of continuity.
Yeah, without
making a thing of it. He's
Yeah.
using a piece of tech that was primarily a focus in series 1 and in Torchwood. And he was locked in a prison that was a big focus of a character's story arc in series 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And it's just a throwaway reference to
It was
both
nice,
of them.
that, wasn't it? It was
That's
good, that.
that's how you do
Yeah.
continuity.
Because you don't need to know
It's
as
just
a
a
viewer.
little treat for people to go, oh, I remember that.
Yeah, you don't need to know as a viewer, do you? There's no when Peter Capaldi
the
saw his face and went,
show-
remember that 10 years ago story.
The show's
Doesn't
not
matter.
going, remember this? It's going,
Yeah, it's going, this
So
is
those who
part of our
spotted it,
universe,
yeah.
and we'll ignore
I
it.
didn't even realise the Stormcage thing until after we finished watching it. John went, oh, and they mentioned Stormcage. I was like, what's that? And he went, the prison that River was kept in. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It
you're
was one of
right.
them, I knew
yeah.
it was familiar, but
Yeah.
it was like, oh, it's just a prison. Have
But-
we heard it before?
But it also,
If we have,
but it
great.
also
If
means
not,
that
it
he's
doesn't
got
matter.
out of prison. He's been fixed with something that stops him from murdering, and yet is still so determined to effect this event that he manages to get hold of a vortex manipulator and go back to try and disrupt it. It sounds like he went back and then was like, right, how do I do this?
Do you
And
think
has
he'll...
begun to set the foundation, and has then just stuck around to make sure it happens, or in this case, doesn't happen.
But also, I mean, it actually, in hindsight...
The whole episode was about little things.
But also,
Making big changes.
what a huge... that camera,
sake.
that cat loves the microphone.
Nudge.
If she comes,
Do you mind,
down
removing her from the room? Sorry, Matt. I hate to
I'll remove her
trap
from
you
the
out of
room.
wire.
What
Pop her out, actually, through the back door.
Go that
Thanks, man.
Go that
Thank
way,
you.
cat. We're getting rid of a cat.
Yeah, this is exciting. What's happening right now behind the scenes?
Right now, behind the scenes, there is a cat being escorted off the premises by Matthew Watson, who has vacated the premises.
And has smooth legs.
He's currently... I don't know what he's doing with the cat. Are you abusing that cat? What are you doing?
He's gone for the cat's bum again.
Oh, you can't resist a cat's ass, can you?
can't resist the cat.
You can't resist it.
So, thoughts just hit me a little bit behind the scenes. What time's your latest train?
Oh, God, not for hours.
Okay, because I'm just thinking about food.
It is.
It's like-
Just to say
It's like nearly 8 o'clock.
about this guy, how amazing, actually, when you think about it, is it he is useful as a statement piece to show how important Rosa Parks is, because he actually came all the way back in time
Yeah.
to stop that one
To stop a
moment
lady
happening.
getting on a bus.
That's how
he tries to
significant
disrupt it.
it
Like,
is.
It's
Yeah.
that, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That says, I never really thought about that, but that sort of tells you, if nothing else, how important what she did was.
This story was handled so well.
Oh, it's
and I
so
think a
good.
big part of that is Mallory Blackman's input, absolutely.
Yes.
It's the casting.
Yeah.
It's
She's great, isn't she?
the choice to... And I think another reason why kids really engage with this, I was listening to you talk about like Hassan being really into it, I think the reason why kids really engage in this, some of it is probably down to the plotting nature and the teamwork nature from the main cast.
Absolutely.
Oh, they were
Because
great.
that's
weren't
such a like kids and family entertainment sort of trope. The gang getting together to like, right, so you need to do this, and
Yeah.
you go and do that, and we'll do this.
Yeah.
Because that element was in there when they realised, right, he's changed things enough that it could stop this event happening tomorrow. You do this, you're going to go and do this, you're going to do that. It's like that full planning thing. Right down to, and this was really cool, we spotted this on Sunday, there's a Time Meddler Easter egg.
Oh!
They write down on the wall when you see the full wall.
Yeah,
right,
that
they've
point,
scribbled all
slightly
over the
pointless
hotel.
wall that...
One of them
Yaz
is a
made.
list, and it's like the sort of the list, and it's laid out the same way as the meddling books,
Oh,
where it's
no
like
way.
time, do that. You know, where he's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
do this, do this,
Yeah,
do this,
yeah,
do this,
yeah.
do this. It's written and worded in a really similar way, and it's laid out exactly the same.
Oh,
Because
bless them.
this episode, Lucy and I were talking about this. Like this episode is the closest it resembles in terms of a Doctor Who story.
Yeah.
Is the Time Meddler?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he is a
With
time
much
meddler, that guy,
different,
isn't
with
he?
much different stakes
Yes.
going on,
Yeah.
but it's that same thing of somebody comes back knowing that if they change things slightly here, it will have a big effect later. Difference here is the motivation is racism. Difference in the Time Meddler is a rogue Time Lord is like, I just think that he'd make a better king, and I'd stick around to watch it. I think that'd be
See,
fascinating.
I'm
and he
still
doesn't,
not-
he doesn't think of the weight of it.
This
This guy is fully aware of the weight of it.
The more you talk about that, the more I think this guy isn't racist. I do think it's a turning point in human history. I think that's why he's doing it.
It's definitely a racial motivation to a degree,
In a broad
but we don't
Yeah.
know. We don't know. I'd posit that that concept is definitely open. I completely agree with you. That is a possibility, and it's more that he's like, that racial and social progress led to this happening, which 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 I want to change. And we don't know necessarily whether that's racially motivated or not, and he's pinpointed it here. But I would argue that it's more likely to be the racial motivation.
Occam's razor, that
based
shit.
just on what he says in his last scene.
And in the context of the episode, yes.
Like when he, what he refers to Ryan as in the last scene, it's like, yeah, okay, no, you are.
Oh yeah, you see, you watched it twice. I've only watched it once, and I watched most of it through the lens of tears in my eyes with joy that the show was great.
But it also lends that beautiful punching moment as well, where you like as a viewer punch the air when Ryan zaps him with the displacement thing,
which is interesting.
And you're like, great, because the episode's really hammered in that it doesn't kill you.
Yeah,
it just sticks you somewhere where you can't do. And all of the stuff he's been zapping has gone to the far future, because he's probably sent it to where he's from. So he's intending, when I'll go back, I'll go through all the stuff, and I'll, I might be able to sell some stuff and use this and whatnot. Because he only really uses it in self-defense a couple of times. Like, because he tries to shoot the TARDIS.
Yes.
And then later on says it's a TARDIS, isn't it? He's like, I could probably fetch a few quid. And she's like, no, I wouldn't. Like, it's been terribly looked after. 1 careless owner. The mileage is thinking.
She's great.
Some great dialogue in this episode.
Dan was talking about this at the watch the other day. He said there is some of the funniest stuff in this as well.
Yeah. It's when they come out. They come out the dino, and Graham just turns around and is like, "We're gonna stop anywhere else to eat."
Brandy Walsh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's made one of the most important contributions to the show ever.
Yeah,
he's granted us something that we've all wanted since 2009 but couldn't have, which is Wilf is now in the show.
Well, Wilf and
like that warm grandfathery character, but instead of being the warm twinkly granddad, it's the lovable awkward granddad.
Well, we got it with Brian, didn't we? Rory's dad
for a bit, yeah, but
he's
that was
essentially the
which
same
again Chibnall handled.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and the only scene that got cut out of Angels in Manhattan, to my memory, was the one where he went and told him that his child was dead.
Yeah,
yeah. And so that says a lot about, I think, that Moffat era of going, we can lose that. And you're like, whoa.
I agree with what you said. This is a character drama that has just been told through a lens of sci-fi.
Yeah.
And
whereas a sci-fi show that sometimes deals in character drama, like the previous
as a flavour for the show under Chibnall, I think that's a really good direction to take it, because that's clear. Someone looking at the work he's done outside of Doctor Who, that's clearly what he's good at.
Yeah,
he's clearly interested in genre.
Yeah,
because he's worked on Doctor Who before and he's clearly into it. But as a writer, his forte is character drama.
I get the sense Chibnall is, absolutely. I get the sense he is a ITV 9 o'clock style drama writer by instinct, but a Doctor Who fan. I don't get the feeling he's a sci-fi fan.
Actually, look at some of the way he's handled
sci-fi. I mean, if the guy's going to appear on a BBC show and his team's to complain about the writing of Doctor Who, like, he's definitely invested.
That always makes me feel better about when I have haunting dreams about potentially taking over Doctor Who in 10 years and people quoting things I've said about other... I just think, well, if Chibnall can get away with it, and he said it to their faces. I could get away
with a terrible haircut. And
Chibbers.
He was very polite
very much in a teenager is invited to be on television to speak, so he's like, I should probably dress up and make myself look good.
Well, we did in the 80s. We were nice like that.
But he's a bloody lovely man as well, I'll tell you that for now.
I just think the way he has taken on Doctor Who and done the only thing that you could have done with it, which is basically change pretty much everything. Move it to a Sunday. Make the Doctor a woman. Which actually really, I forget completely all the time that she's even a woman.
It was almost, jarring this week when the guy said ma'am and she went, She went, still getting used to that.
Yeah, and when Bradley Walsh pretended to be, and he had his arm round her and she was like, what?
Because under Moffat, you would have been getting boob jokes every 5 seconds. These are getting in the way!
Yeah, I mean,
every 5 fucking minutes.
The only thing that the Doctor is being sort of confused by having since, changed gender is
pronouns.
That's the only thing that's confusing her. She's like, she's still going, right, of course.
I haven't questioned
which makes sense because the Doctor has lived for thousands of years and as a bloke.
Yeah.
So pronouns would be probably the only thing that makes her go,
Yeah.
This episode particularly gave me what I was always intrigued about with a female Doctor, especially once Jodie Whittaker was cast, is having that dynamic where you have a physically smaller and less imposing presence especially in the cultures that she's going to be
she's
interacting
naturally
with.
she naturally looks a weaker human being.
Yeah, and culturally as people as
because when your intergalactic thugs are squaring up, they're now not looking at the you smart me like scientist idiot, like I'll knock you out. It's like run home, darling. But like, the attitude that they're sort of taking, it's like
standing there and having that spine of steel and that presence.
Yeah. Oh god, when she faces up against Krasko, like she evens the score in a way that you can tell's pissing him off.
Yeah.
But she even, I mean, the bit that solidified that, like the way the show's handling it is perfect, is when she enrages him enough that he goes to throttle her to death. And she's just like, go for it. And like, obviously he's doing it for a moment. And then like the Chip thing kicks in. Yeah. Which again, another Chibnall subtly influenced by Buffy thing going on there. Because Chibnall, his co-writing credit on this episode, I think it was more a case of Mallory wrote it and then Chibnall comes in and tidies it to TV. Yeah. The same way that we now know sort of retroactively Moffat did with like Neil Gaiman, for example, and Richard Curtis. So whereas Richard Curtis was more like au fait with it, of course, like being a film writer primarily. But like that's a Spike thing in Buffy. The initiative, give him a chip, but stops him from killing. Or killing humans.
But it's interesting that talking about the gender thing.
But like she just he goes for it, and you can think he's just thinking, I'm just going to strangle this woman to death, and she sort of allows it to happen, and then faces him down. And the way physically it's directed, her character, the way it's written, the way she handles it.
I always thought that was an interesting aspect of casting a woman, would be,
especially with the historicals as well.
Yeah, having that strength and presence and command in situations and societies where she would be viewed as inferior. Yes, especially by villainous characters.
But what's interesting is, so far, actually, when you look at it, the only people who view it that way are the humans. Because I don't recall in the Ghost Monument, I can't speak because
the Ghost Billy Who,
that one, episode 2. Yeah, I can't recall any. I can't remember Tim Shaw going, "Oh, you're a woman," which would have happened under Moffat. I think, and certainly would have.
How dare you? I wouldn't have done that. Well, no, but based on the examples,
Paul McGann movie or whatever, But the Krasko, he didn't care. Krasko sounds like a discount, like supermarket.
Krasko, Scandinavian for space races.
It sounds like some. This used to happen in Shepherd's Bush, where you'd get a Polish supermarket or shop would open up, and it would try to play on the Tesco thing. So I'm sure we had. There's
a few smaller shops around here. Ages one called Teco.
Yeah,
and it's just Tesco, but they've got rid of the S and put a second C in the same font.
I'm sure we had Tesca in Shepherd's Bush. It sounds like Krasko is like a sort of version of that. But he doesn't ever, that I recall, look at her, talk to her in any way like she's a woman.
No,
he knows that she is a Time Lord, not a woman.
Or at least is piloting a TARDIS. He's got that.
Yeah. And that's really interesting. And that this series is so much more progressive in that sense than we're how many years are we away now from that whole a woman in a tight skirt or whatever it was, that Matt Smith line where he describes...
Is it a mystery wrapped in enigma wrapped in a skirt that's just a little bit too tight? Yeah. Which is really weird because it's like, why is he saying that?
Yeah.
Like, fair enough if this doctor's sort of a bit flirty, but why would this doctor say that? That seems really odd.
Isn't that? And then his follow-up line is something like, what's wrong with time? And he goes, a woman.
Yeah, what happened to time? What happened to time?
2011, which doesn't even feel that long ago, but it was that.
It's almost like the show was under control of someone who is really out of touch and has odd gender politics.
Speaking of odd gender politics,
let's get into emails. Jesus Christ, this is long.
Before we crack on, I just want to show you the picture. We were talking about this before the episode. One of the effects team, double check who it is, posted a picture. I'm not sure what the original source one is, but a photo of a prop from Arachnids in the UK.
Oh yeah.
Now, based on the trailer for Arachnids in the UK, the full TV one, not the weird little stinger that was totally very odd at the end of the credits of Rosa. There's definitely some CGI going on in this one. I don't like spiders. I'm fascinated by spiders. I think they're really interesting animals. I'm fascinated by them, but I'm also very, very much fascinated by things that scare me. There's a reason I'm massive on the Child's Play films. Mannequins, dolls, ventriloquist dummies freak me out. So because of that, I become fascinated with it, and then I really get into it.
Are you fascinated because you want to cure yourself?
No, I'm interested in what scares me. So, like, if I see a film that really freaks me out, I suddenly want to know all about that movie. Same with, like, ventriloquist dummies haunted me for years. They freak me out. And yet, you were in a bloody video with one.
Yeah.
At least twice, I've welcomed one that was purpose-built to look sinister into this house.
I've lived in this house where we had...
Clipper.
I can't even say the word because I've had a bit too much wine. That's a doll.
So just say Gottlagir.
But
But I'm fascinated by things that freak me out. Spiders especially. The one type of spider I'm really unnerved by, though, is a house spider. Which, ironically, is the one that you'll see the most.
You know
like,
what?
Garden spiders, I think, are lovely. Do you remember that one used to live in the window when you were crashing here?
Yeah.
And it was in the window for a month.
Yeah.
This garden spider with its big bum and its little legs that just sat in the middle of the web and we watch it eat flies. Great.
Yeah, you would have liked it. It had a big arse.
Could have given it a little scritch.
Yeah.
But house spider,
with a little sort of cocktail stick.
Oh, you like that butt scratch? Yeah, lean into that.
But house spiders freak me out because they're long, gangly legs and their speed. Like, when they get freaked out, they leg it across the floor.
Yeah.
Freaks me out. That glimmer of a spider in the Arachnids in the UK trailer, that's a house spider. Like, the brown, the long little mandibles, the legs up against the door. And for those who don't want spoilers, yes, there's big spider, possibly more than one in this episode. And someone posted a photo of the prop from the props team. And Matt, there it is. This is the one.
Neat.
This is the one that will be, I assume, used for reference and to fill in shots and stuff.
I think
we've now seen CGI as part of it.
I think they're selling those as Costco.
It looks like the one from Costco, doesn't it?
I think they bought a Costco one and tied it up.
It's entirely possible.
What, a giant spider?
Yeah.
I think they bought it from Metabolist 3. Sorry, I'll say that again. Metabolist 3.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. But you see what I mean?
Metabolist 3.
It's got like the long house spidery legs and the little. Now it's very similar to the ones that you can get at Costco.
So many eyes.
So many eyes.
In fact, now you've said that, I wonder whether or not that.
I think it is just the big one from Costco.
But you know
what? I
what?
don't know, the stuff around it suggests prop warehouse, and it was posted by one of the effects guys originally.
That's like Matt Irvin and all those people in the 70s used to get Airfix kits.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. The
1999
Costco one definitely has like little gaps in it. You remember it has the little black pipes in between the notches of the limbs.
Yeah, I think
doesn't. So
no, it
it's
does.
possible
That's the joint.
Like
no. But I mean, like it has the really obvious one, whereas that's sort of
like that massively obvious joint
with the word Costco. Please return.
Anyway,
I mean that's just good. That's just good.
How long is this podcast?
Too long.
Than the we're encroaching on the record.
Because I want to break the record. Because screw John Cranston.
Well,
oh my god,
screw that man. I'm going to break your record, John.
Someone sent us a lovely long email.
Read the email very slowly.
This is coming from Tom Monty. He says, "Dear
Not
Chris,
Tom Monty.
Tom
Monty. Is he back from Africa and the expedition
in his pith helmet? Dear Chris,
has he returned with a giant lion upon his visage?
He's wearing a lion vest, like Craven the Hunter. Dear Chris and Matt, Chris, it was a treat.
What about me?
Well, he doesn't know you're here.
Fuck this.
I'm going to extend the invitation to you.
Thank you. I feel
Tom's behalf.
Enlarged.
Dear Chris and Matt, engorged and Gary. Chris, it was a treat to hear.
For those behind the scenes, Matt is now reading from an iPad. An iPad.
It's not an iPad, but yeah.
What is it?
It's an Android tablet.
It's an old tat you got from Costco.
It's a Asus.
You're an Asus.
ZenPad 10. Dear Chris and Matt, Chris, it was a treat to hear your thoughts on Five Who Fans post-episode discussion. So the questions will be more for Matt, but Chris, feel free to input or repeat your thoughts, or just fuck off. That was me.
Sure, right. Wow, that's cruel.
I've seen Rosa.
Our listeners are pretty intense.
I've seen Rosa, and it's the strongest of the series for me so far, but I had problems with it.
Oh, go fuck yourself. What's his name?
Tom Monty.
Tom Monty.
My biggest annoyance was the use of the song Rise Up.
Oh, God. No, I'm so sorry, but
really didn't
I
work
don't
for
think you
me.
should read this out
Now,
because there's no negativity.
I did see that complaint as a common complaint.
People
And
can literally
Well, let me finish. Let me finish.
I want to hear more from Tom Monty.
I hated it, in fact.
Oh, fuck off, Tom
Since
Monty.
this is Seiken Akinola's first series, I don't see why they didn't just get him to come up with some emotional piece. That would have done the job. He had done an amazing job with the score up until that point in the episode. Despite the lyrics obviously being relevant, I thought it was out of place to have a mainstream track with lyrics play over a scene in Doctor Who. Whilst Vincent and the Doctor also used a song with lyrics, it wasn't one you'd recognise, and I think to have a song as well known as
2010.
that, I just don't think it
2010
belongs
it was.
and brought me out of the scene. What was the song in Vincent and the Doctor?
oh Christ!
It was that band.
That band downstairs.
Them.
That one, yeah.
Oh,
When they called
Elbow, was it them?
Elbow, I
I think
think.
it was Elbow. It was definitely current at the time, because I remember going, "Oh, it's this song."
Yeah.
I respectfully disagree, Tom.
thoughts on the use of the song is, and I have little to no opinion.
Sorry, could you say it in the correct voice?
I have little to no opinion.
I respectfully disagree, Tom, and I'll tell you for why very briefly. This episode's ending wasn't to wallow in that moment per se, because that moment is really upsetting but powerful.
Yeah.
It was to then reflect as the next part of it goes on with Jodie's narration leading into them looking at the time-space visualizer making a return appearance. Are they going to watch the Beatles on it? It was to reflect the ripples. The ripples of that moment and what goes on from that point forward. I'm referencing Remembrance of the Daleks. It's to you know what I mean? It's about
Unlimited rice pudding!
And what better way to reflect that than a modern song that has already been associated with specifically this feeling, this racial and social movement and change.
But the thing is as well, right, here's the thing.
And it fit quite well nicely. And also it would have been, I don't know, I think that the pop inclusion was to just sort of on a very basic level make you feel a little bit more uplifted, because that moment is not played as like there's triumph there, but it's not played as like a hooray moment because of everything that leads to it. It's this is horrible, this has to happen, but it will have a positive
in the interest of brevity, I'm going to cut you both off there and say, we like the song. Having watched the 3 episodes of Chibnall's Era...
Try and chive his record.
What about me? I didn't get to express
what
my
do you
opinion
think
on
of your
subject.
use of the song?
Hey, let's say this, right? I don't know how old is Tom, do you reckon?
We know he's in uni, is that right?
Yeah, he's just started uni.
So I can tell him.
1920.
Look, Tom, love. The thing is, right,
Dear heart.
Doctor Who,
Braveheart team.
don't stop thinking about it in this kind of weird, kind of very limited cultural, televisual production way. It's bigger than that.
The Beatles appeared on it in the 60s and freaked people out.
It doesn't. Doctor Who can be anything.
In the time
If it can be about an old man chiseling away a bit of diamond for thousands of years, or whatever, or a circus, or whatever you want it to be, it can have a fucking song in it.
Yeah.
It's that's part of the production. That's part of the thing. That's what you do when you make modern stuff.
Yeah.
And don't think about it in that sort of 60s limited terms. But bless you. Thanks for writing in.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, God. What does he say? Let me read out what does he say?
Speed read so we do more emails.
There.
Having watched 3 episodes of Chibnall's Era and its other contributions to the show, I've concluded that... Wow. I've concluded that he's inept at writing a good villain. This doesn't feel like a threat whatsoever. Well, we've covered this, haven't we?
Yeah, we've covered this.
Yeah, so fuck that. What parts of the episode do you think were written by Chibnall? We don't know. I'm dealing with this.
I love this.
I also disliked how Ryan and Yaz are written in a lot of scenes. A lot of their lines feel forced and contrived, and Ryan talking to... Well, sorry about that. Other than that, get me engaged. Great. I enjoyed the period setting. Great. Set design, beautiful. Great. Period actors, great. Enjoyed Graham, great. Blah, 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 blah. Chris, you said that on Twitter was your favourite episode in the last 10 years, but in the YouTube video you said 8 years. Which one is real?
8 years, because I remembered Vincent and the Doctor. And I didn't say it was my favourite episode in 10 years. I said it was the best one in 10 years.
And do you stand by that statement now? It's been a few days.
Yes.
Weeks, potentially.
Weeks, potentially.
I think the only other episode on par I can think of in the last 8 years is Vincent and the Doctor, in terms of dealing with something like that.
You loved the very sensitively handled historical Let's Kill Hitler as well, which I seem to remember you found very beautiful, particularly the Ariana Grande song that was at the end of it. As Hitler climbed out the cupboard.
Do you agree with your fellow Big Damn caster, Matt? Mostly agree with him, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Tom can I just say, Tom Monty, I took the piss there, but you sound like an alright lad.
Tom Monty's one of our most regular emailers.
Not anymore. He's got opinions, bless him.
As long as you don't play a pop song at the end.
Let's play a pop song at the end of it.
Shit, I better not work on a new version of the theme or anything.
Oh god, why are emails so long?
Because that's the fans we have.
Why don't you just get people to tweet?
Because no one tweets. When we say send us tweets, you know what no one does?
Really, we have the reverse situation that when I say email.
I emailed you guys once and it never got bloody read out.
Yeah, because you don't read the
From
emails.
Big
You
Damn
read
Tweets. From Big Damn Cast.
We don't read them out. We don't even read the tweets. We don't read any shit out.
This one,
we just can't read. We can't read.
Yeah, we just don't. We're just challenged.
This one comes in from Ian, and I like this because it's got a bit of piss and vinegar.
Ian McLean.
While I don't read his surname unless he's asked us to read his surname.
Look, he emailed in. At any point, he said, "Don't read out my surname."
No. Well, I prefer
Fuck
not
yourself,
to.
Ian McLean.
Dear Big Damn Cast, please don't read out my surname.
No, fucking hell, guy!
Yeah, the court case is not to go through.
While I'm saving my reviews for the end of the series, I had to email in as it's odd how much this episode has been torn apart by fans. It's not. Have you fucking watched Doctor Who ever? Have you ever been to Gallifrey Base? I don't fucking go there anymore for this exact fucking reason.
You think you want to be on Rosa base? They are going fucking epic about this.
Well, I don't really like Heaven Sent, mainly due to Moffat lying at the time.
It's irrelevant.
I can see why people
Move
do,
on.
and still put it up there as one of Capaldi's best episodes.
Can I read this and edit this?
No.
Why is Heaven Sent?
It is waffle. I don't know.
Get to the point,
because it's an
Ian.
episode that people didn't like, I suppose.
We're very drunk.
The replies to your tweet, Chris, about it was much worse than I thought. It looked like someone just joined Twitter to moan about this episode. Have you been on Twitter?
Where does Ian McLean
Have
live?
you been on Twitter?
Ian
Let's
McLean
read out his
from
exact
Narnia.
It's literally what people fucking do.
Where does he live?
I
Go
don't
around
know.
his corner.
It's an email address. It's
How
not
many-
a postal
is there a
address.
phone
How many
number?
laptops does he have?
All of the laptops.
Does he like tuna?
He loves tuna.
Is there a phone number? Can we call him?
Well, yes, the episode did have actual problems. If you're giving the episode a 3 out of 10 because there was no theme
What
over
episode?
the
What is he
credits,
talking about?
then maybe you need to reevaluate who you
What?
judge TV shows.
Who is he talking
It just
about?
feels sad that it's generic moaning. No monsters, SJW propaganda had
What
no
is he
threat.
talking about?
Like, it's so hard that 13 years in people
he
still don't know
talking
the
about?
basics of Doctor Who. Anyway, Doctor Who fans moaning about Doctor Who isn't anything new.
What is he talking about? He's just rambling.
How many laptops?
There's no point to this email.
But you said at the start of the email, it's weird how it's being torn apart by most fans, and then at the end of the email we're like, oh well, Doctor Who fans complaining about Doctor Who fans is nothing
What
new.
is he talking about?
Don't know.
What is wrong with him?
No, I'm on a bottle of wine. Last one comes in from Jacob.
Don't read out an email from him ever again.
I don't think we'll get one after that reaction. This one comes in from Jacob.
Oh Christ! Can I read this? I'm going to read this one.
Okay,
Oh,
we'll be nice
God.
to Jacob.
I like how
Be
old is
nice to
Jacob?
sweet
He
baby
is, he is
Jacob.
dyslexic. And he's,
Oh, I know Jacob.
So,
though. I know that name.
Yeah. So,
I like. I
prepared for
tell you what I like
spelling
about him.
mistakes.
The opening line.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, big damn cockers.
Oh, it's been said
That's
by
way
no
back.
one ever.
I may have just watched one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever.
Good.
I don't know where to start. I am so
Did
awesome.
you get him into the Fendal on DVD?
Get out. It's an excellent movie. You should all watch it.
He says, so awesome how good it was. First of all, Vinette Robinson as
Yes.
Rosa was superb. Joss Bowman as Krasko, White Supremacist Evil Man was fantastic. Every member of the cast was phenomenal. And it was so funny. True. I can't get used to how funny the last episodes have been. It's fantastic. I'm so glad the Doctor did influence Rosa doing what she did, but that sense on the bus was the high point of the series so far. The emotion on all of their faces, I assume he means, was one of the best Doctor Who scenes ever. Especially Graham looks like he's about to bawl his eyes out, which I'm very proud to say I did. Me too. I love. Now he is great because not only.
Oh, I love
does he
Jacob.
open
He's
with,
great.
Hello, Big Damn Cockers. He also said, that's it for now. Toodaloo, Jacob.
Hey!
I think Toodaloo could be a great catchphrase for a future Doctor. Toodaloo.
Yeah, alright.
That would be cool.
But they say it when they arrive.
Yeah. And everyone just gets back in and
then as they leave, they go, hello!
We'll come back later.
Have you got any more emails?
No, that...
I enjoyed that.
We've got one more email, but it's not related to Rosa.
Go on,
go on.
Because it's been there for ages and I've not got to it.
Read
yet.
it.
This one comes in from Guy.
What?
Not you.
Oh,
Different
I was
guy.
going to say, when did I email?
Different surname.
Like hallucinate.
To Big Damn Cast. Again, sorry for... This came in on the 11th of October.
Oh, who's this from?
This is from
pods
Guy.
ago.
Guy what?
Guy Grist. He's put his name on the bottom of the email, so I'm going to say it out loud.
Know that name, Guy Grist.
Is it you?
No, it's not me.
Is...
Guy Grist.
Or he's a listener. Maybe he's a Smash the Media listener.
He's made my list at some point.
The Guy Grist.
To Big Damn Cast. Again, sorry for not getting a chance to catch your podcast for a few weeks. Life's crazy at the moment.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
fucking telling me.
Sure.
But your classic Who podcast wheeled me in like the proverbial fish. And what a lovely thing
He's
to
very,
listen to.
has he been on some sort of like English language
He's
course?
definitely drunk a bottle of wine
He
like we have.
is either stoned or hammered.
I know
right
you
in
said
this.
to do top 3 classic Who stories. He's the only person who responded to our plea for top 3s.
Yeah.
But hey,
But
thanks,
people
guy.
like when you talk about Doctor Who.
I know, right?
True.
What are his
True
top
that.
3 stories? Let me guess.
But I
Horns
just
of Nyman,
he's
Time Meddler.
He's done top 10 because he couldn't get to top 3.
Underground.
So we're gonna go.
timing.
Underworld.
And there's some. I'm gonna say it. There's some contentious choices on here.
Well, I hope Talons of Weng Chiang is number 1 because that would be a terrible situation.
The Terribles of Weng Chiang.
One of the only thing that kept Talons and Wang Chang out of my top 10 was the fact that it's too fucking long. I like
enough.
it, but it's too fucking
You
long.
just like the racism.
I also love the race. So we're gonna go from
Did you learn nothing on Sunday?
we're gonna go from 10 to 1. Number 10 is the Web Planet.
What?
Shut
up.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love this one.
Right,
Number
Grace.
9 is Delta and the Bad.
Oh!
I do hope that Guy is braced for us to go, really?
Bless him.
Number 8
No.
is City of Death.
Yeah.
Number 7 is the Aztecs.
Sure.
Yeah,
Number
that's
6
an
is the
arse, yeah.
Keeper of Kraken.
No.
No.
Lucy, you liked the Aztecs, didn't you?
The Aztecs is great.
What?
You liked the
Aztecs.
Aztecs.
It's great.
You liked the Aztecs because Barbara was on it.
So what
Barbara's so
what
good
was
at that
what was Barbara's name? What was
Yetaxa.
what was the high priest who was all bitchy and had really cool face paint?
It's a Toxel.
God, I love you.
You loved the Aztecs.
I don't remember my neighbours' names, but I
Well, maybe you should get them to change them to
Let's just
Yetaxa.
call them Yetaxa and Clatoxel for the rest of time.
Aztecs is hands down the best Hartnell story. It's so good.
they think my name is Lisa.
Yeah, we've had several Christmas cards to Lisa and Christopher.
So if I told them my name was Lucy, they'd be like, false goddess.
She brings it back around.
Hey, that's the best joke in this 4-hour podcast.
Best joke I've ever told in my life.
That's a great joke.
Number 5.
You should just pack your bags and go
I'm
because
going.
you will not top that joke. That
Number
is a great
5 is the 2
That's not a good
doctors.
joke.
joke. The 2 doctors.
Oh, listen, I have a soft spot for the 2 doctors, but it ain't
2
number 5.
doctors.
The 2 doctors.
Oh, mate.
I like it.
Season
but
6
I don't like it that much.
the first one.
How old is this person?
I don't know.
Well, we asked for classic stories.
How
so
old
we
is God? I think you should ask for an age. for
Number
these people.
4 is Remembrance of the Daleks.
Okay.
Number 3 is the Mind Robber.
No. No.
Number 2 is Warrior's Gate.
What?
And number 1 is Ghostlight. I like Ghostlight
That's an
a lot.
interesting list.
Do you know what?
Ghostlight
Do you know
was
what?
in my top 10.
Guy Grist.
Whoever you are. He sounds like a superhero alter ego name.
He's just going to say...
I'll say this. Your choices are
They're wacky.
wacky, and I'm so freaking delighted because it would have been kind of dull if they were the same as ours.
Yeah.
Ghostlight might just be one of my favourite bits of TV. It's just so strange and gothic, full of wonderful characterization. And every time I find new things to like about it, I love it.
He's right, though, because I've seen it a million times.
I really like Ghostlight.
I remember when that came on, and I was a certain age, and it came on, and I thought, fuck, this is good.
It's my
This is a
favourite McCoy.
He's great, isn't he?
Yeah, is he?
Great.
Oh, those last 3 stories.
Yeah.
Like, Ghostlight, Fenric Survival.
And of course, Ghostlight was the
Fucking
last
great.
one that they made.
Yeah.
And he was never better.
I would have loved them to have had that extra episode to flesh it out, but
Yeah.
the fact that it is just so disjointed adds to the strangeness of it, I think. Anyway, oh wait, the new series, I almost forgot about that. Remember, this is pre-Rosa. Well, Chibnall does lots of things that are very good ideas on paper, but the pacing near killed it completely on landing. That must have just been about the first episode, because this came on the 11th of October. Anyway, hope everything is going well for you two. Regards, Guy Grist. That is the email backlog.
He has
cleared.
not got a good. He's not. There's no toodaloo going on in that.
No.
But he did sign it off as goodbye, Guy Grist.
I like your email people.
I
You
tolerate
can't have them.
I know. I mocked them because I
we mock
them.
them constantly.
But the thing is, they're all pretty good, bloody good people. I mean,
they are.
I'm noticing that there is a 100% male thing.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think you
love
need to
female
work
listeners.
harder. And I feel like my presence today may have brought a different audience.
I would love you to bring a different audience. Because
I'll
I'm
bring
sick of this one!
I'll bring the same audience, but we'll all wear hats.
Like Johnny Depp.
And they were all wearing eye patches.
Well, I'll tell you this for now.
I don't want this to end.
I'll tell you what it has
Well,
to be really
it has to
enjoyable.
because
We have to
we-
get food.
We've cracked the 3-hour mark!
Yeah, our previous record was with guest John Gransden, episode 100 and something. And I can't even remember the number.
I've really enjoyed doing
And
this.
that was 2 hours, 59 minutes and 11 seconds.
Ooh.
As I speak, we are about to hit 3 hours, 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
Yay! We've beaten that ginger man.
Ginger animator.
And manimator.
Let's
How dare you
never
assume his
never
animator?
do this again.
He does. Never mind. I won't make that joke because that would be inappropriate. But
Oh yes, we've been nothing but appropriate on this podcast.
So, John, you're going to have to come back and try and pick this score.
Please
Yeah.
But
don't.
until
Do
then,
come back, but don't do 3 hours.
Until
it's
then,
been great though. I've had a great.
Oh, I had a great laugh.
It's
But
been one of the best days of my life.
I feel really sorry for everyone who's having to listen
If they
to
don't,
this.
you know what? Ian McLean, whatever his name was, Jimmy.
Jimmy Schmitz.
Jimmy Creeves.
You know what?
Stephen fucking Moffat. Take us out, Chris.
If you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can do so on Twitter at Big Damn Cast. Anytime, we'll happily respond and you can get involved with the filth there. The Big Damn channel on YouTube, if you're not listening to this on there already, that's where you can find our videos, whiffles and waffles. You can also follow us on Twitch at Big Damn Stream, should you want to take part in any filth when we play video games. And if you want to email in, bigdamncontact at gmail.com. Guy, where can they find you?
Don't find me. But if you want to hear me and Danny Sim talk about stuff, Smash the Media. That's where it's at. We're at Smash the Media UK. Because someone took Smash the Media. I think he's a fan of Jeremy Corbyn and thought he was being clever. He's not clever. He's just got that
Wait, him or
name
Corbyn?
that I want. None of them.
I used to really be into Corbyn, but he's done fuck all.
It's just.
I'll be honest. I fell out with him after his second album. It wasn't very good.
Difficult.
Yeah, other than that, don't find me.
Yeah, leave him alone.
Yeah, please don't. If I insulted you today with your emails, please do not tweet me about it because I will mute you and then block you.
On that note, Lucy, do you want to take us home?
Are you guys okay?
No!
Lucy just looks so confused.
We're really not!
I'm just Snapchatting Matt's girlfriend. And just being like, can you come and help me?
Bye. Bye. Bye.